Mira Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio.
It's the morning drive. This is Mira Business FM, and it is Friday morning, and that can only mean one thing. And I'm looking at the screen, and I see I have to say, Jeff Rhodes, very sharp looking this morning.
Good morning. How are you, Tim?
Very well. We were just commenting on your, what we believe is a new hairstyle there, a new haircut.
No. It means I've just had a shower.
That's what I was
look,
told.
Guys, it's only 6 o'clock in the morning.
I know.
Which is,
Well,
very early.
You're in the United Kingdom at the moment, just outside of London. I realised that, and you're there for a while. But no, I appreciate you getting up early, Jeff, to talk to us.
Yeah.
I'm struggling as to where to start. So I thought, well, let's just set this. Here's where we are at the moment. High US inflation fueled by the Iran conflict, of course. Hawkish Fed. Expectations of a rate hike. I believe the latest was 68% by September in terms of what people believe is going to happen. Add in a strong US dollar environment. Gold is in a bearish momentum trade at this point. A 7-month low on Wednesday, lowest since November 2025, 39.60. Every time I come in the morning and I check the gold price, now there's a quick kind of, oh, look at that, rather than, there's a sharp intake of breath, Jeff.
You kind of yes and no. It's given the fact that the dollar, I think the dollar is at a 2-year high, and we've just had the highest inflation figure for 3 years, the PCE at 4.1% it was. so everything going against gold. So two-year high for the dollar, rampant inflation, 4.1%. Yeah, not good for gold. The implication is an increase in interest rates, as you say, in September. There's some talk about 3 interest rates this year. Where was before the conflict, gold was well above $5,000.
Yeah.
And where was oil, Tim? Where was oil? It was around $73.
Exactly. I was going to say 72, but it was around about there.
73, yeah.
Yeah.
Today, oil is, I'm looking at it, $74. So that kind of spike in oil prices, the high was well above $100. And, the kind of world panicking about oil supplies and the impact overall on inflation, which is fair enough. And you've seen it. You've seen those numbers. But for how long are we going to have those numbers? Because oil is back to where it was before the conflict. And, I'm here in the UK. The flights into the Middle East are now okay, so it's not a difficult place to go anymore. So there's insurance. So we're back to where we were. But gold suddenly is around $4,000 and not $5,000. I don't think that can last because we're back to where we were, but gold is lower. I don't get it. I think gold is mispriced. I do, honestly. Given the fact that, so next month, we're going to have a lower inflation figure. We are, because oil prices are well off the highs. So I think it's doing okay. I think gold, if it holds around $4,000 for a bit longer, maybe what we're going to see is pivotal trading around that 4,000, maybe 3,800, 4,300. But eventually, as we head into the back half of the year, and suddenly that 68% rate hike for people are calling for is not there anymore. I'll be the first to admit, if there is a rate hike, fair enough. I don't see it. I just don't see it.
Do you think $4,000 is like a psychological milestone right now?
Yeah, it is really
Yeah.
technical and psychological. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say so. And I can't see, as I say, technically it should hold around this level, and it is. But yeah, looking this morning, yesterday's low was around 3,980. Currently it's been 4,040 this morning. It's doing okay. So, but you've spoken to me enough now. I typically tend to be very positive. Anything to do with precious metals is difficult for me to be bearish. Just wasn't born that way.
It's not in your water, is it? Do you know what
No, it's
is
not.
interesting about this is, you know how we all feel like our phones listen to us and they recommend us things? Can I just run through what my phone told me this morning? So I guess it must be tracking searches, listens to what I talk about. It offered me a few lines on how to understand the sell-off catalysts. So it's sending me gold information. Okay, so I wanted to test it just to see how accurate its assessment is with the expert, the oracle that is Jeff Rhodes. Hawkish Fed pivot was the first line. Markets have aggressively priced in a 68% probability of a September interest rate hike, driving US Treasury yields and the US dollar index higher. Tick. Elevated opportunity costs, rising yields heavily penalize non-yielding bullion, triggering liquidation to cover broader multi-asset margin stress. And then, this is my phone telling me this, peace progress headwinds, bullion has lost its geopolitical risk premium as positive breakthroughs in the US-Iran peace talks pulled oil prices lower using immediate resource-driven inflation fears. I feel like I have no value in this conversation anymore because my phone does it so well.
It's very good, yeah.
Yeah.
So is your phone recommending selling gold? Is that what it's saying?
It doesn't give me recommendations. What it did do is it said to me, a technical look at the daily chart reveals that spot gold has entered a confirmed short-term downtrend.
Yeah, very good. So can I suggest you talk to your telephone and say, you'd like to buy, please? Okay.
Oh, do you know what?
No, it is, technically gold isn't a bear trend.
Yep.
But it's not breaking. It's really not breaking lower. If you really thought all this pressure because of the dollar is so strong, dollar is strong, but Treasury yields are not doing much. They haven't really. I'm just looking. Treasury yields are. I'm looking at 4.3710. 4.3710 10-year Treasury yields.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
That doesn't tell me interest rates are going up because that is now lower
Okay.
than before. So I do get it. I do get the panic over inflation. That panic has gone. It really is. You should reprice oil at 74, not at 124 or whatever it went to. And so when you see the 4.1% PCE report, that was basis a month ago when oil prices were much, much higher. So there's this lag, and I think you'll see, as I say, inflation will be coming lower as soon as you get some data coming in showing that inflation has moderated and is about to go lower. At that point, gold goes higher. And where will it go higher from? It may be a bit lower than this, but not far off.
Yeah.
So for me, we're in a buy zone, whether that's $3,500 to $4,000. Yeah, fair enough. I would get that. But when we get into September, I think the talk about rate hikes would have gone, because certainly Kevin Walsh would have been, in position and feeling comfortable. I'm sure we'll have President Trump calling out the Fed to cut rates, not raise rates. Can you imagine? I'm just the vitriol that would come from the White House if there was a hike in interest rates.
Oh, that
Without a
extreme
doubt.
headline
It
news.
would be extreme. So,
Yeah.
yeah, very good, and it makes for good. Kind of gives us something to talk about when we're looking at precious metals. I think silver's the more worrying thing. We've broken down below $60 on Silverton. We've been to $55 in the last couple of days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not happy about that, as you know, because I'm known to be a good silver ball as well. So I'd be a bit more comfortable when we got silver back above $60, but it's looking a little bit soft at the moment. So we could even see even lower prices back towards 50. But once the market turns, then we'll see the price rally very strongly.
It was interesting. I mean, silver hit what 55.63 this week. So again, that is, I mean, it's a 7-month low.
Yeah, it is.
Gold, silver moving in line.
Yeah, now gold, silver, platinum, and palladium all moving in line, and all under pressure. But
Yeah.
as I say, I think the key, keep an eye on oil. Well, oil, I think the market must be long oil, to be honest with you, because it would be foolish to have been short when there was the problems going on in the Strait of Hormuz. But that's not there anymore. We can forget that. We can move on. The world is back to normal. Flights are back to normal as to where they were in sort of January, February. So I'm very bullish for Dubai actually. Everyone I see, they tell me they've really missed their holidays. Certainly, their holidays in the spring, when Dubai is at its best. And so, yeah, I think you're going to have everything back to normal, including gold prices above $5,000 and silver back above $70 by September.
Okay. Well, I mean, what we're looking at here, from everybody that we're speaking to, we're looking at, maybe the autumn will be Dubai's new spring. Who knows? But we're looking forward to a real return. Fingers crossed. This is the hope. In Q4.
Yeah, I don't think you need to cross your fingers, Tim. No. I think there is as I'm sitting in the UK, there's a real kind of buzz about going back to the Middle East, and it's not just Dubai; it's Abu Dhabi and other parts of the Gulf as well. But certainly in our world, in the UK, there's an affinity for the Middle East that will never go away, and we'll be back to normal. And back to normal means higher gold and silver prices.
Okay, so from the people that you're speaking to, because you're not just sitting on your hands in the UK, you're working as ever, Jeff. So, what's the sort of? I was going to say gossip around the water cooler, but do you know what I mean? What are people saying about the situation, the change in the situation, the peace talks that are ongoing, the fact that the airlines are looking at adding the Middle East back into their schedules, the international, I mean, the British Airways and all of those. What's the word?
Yeah, I mean, it's back. And it isn't, we're hoping everything's going to be fine. Everything is fine. We are back to where we were. And so the talk around the water cooler is, so when are you going to Dubai? Oh, yeah, September looks good. Yeah, then we've got October, we've got school holidays, making our plans for October. The buzz is about a kind of renaissance of tourism back to Dubai. Honestly, everyone that I talk to, everyone that I see is, how's Dubai? Well, it must have been bad. Well, it wasn't. It really wasn't. I think the way the government and the way people reacted to it was amazing. I mean, we just kind of carried on. And I think out of it, Dubai and the UAE has emerged much stronger, much stronger.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we talk about there's a campaign going on at the moment, which is it's essentially a business confidence campaign here. It's the Dubai It campaign, which is this kind of the idea that essentially if you Dubai something, you take something on and you improve things. You do things with confidence, and I think there's a great deal in that at the moment. And you were starting to see a turn, I think.
Yeah, I would say so. I think one example would be taking a look at the DMCC and Ahmed bin Salam, my close friend Ahmed bin Salam. And every day you see something positive emerging from the DMCC, with one of the latest being the Finex part of the DMCC, which I'm glad to be involved with to a certain extent. And we're seeing good news every day from the DMCC. You're seeing good news, a development here, a development there. So, this kind of lull in activity has given people the chance to really kick on. And as I say, I kind of sound like a broken record, really, but I'm so impressed with the way we have all handled things over the last few months. It's a credit, and others should look at the UAE and follow its lead.
When are you on the way back?
At the moment, my flight is booked for the 19th of July, so still going to be here a lot longer. Tim, did you know that we're at 38 degrees? In the UK. It's never been heard of.
I know, and expectations that it's going to be around for a while as well, isn't it? It's
a little
remarkable.
bit, yeah.
I know.
And we do not have air conditioning. Certainly we don't.
How are you getting on with it though? Because I mean, that is in Britain. If the temperature goes over 32, people start to melt and complain about it. The papers go crazy. I know that there's schools closing, all sorts of things.
Yeah,
but this is in line with the great summer of 1976. That's the comparison, isn't it?
Do you know what happened in 1976?
I know
there was a racehorse called Troy won the Derby. Okay. And not only did it win the Derby, it won the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe.
Oh, okay.
I remember it very well because I was at both and backed Troy in both. So 76 was really a fantastic year, but. No, for me, I'm okay with it. Listen, I've been 30 years in Dubai.
Yeah.
So I'm well used, 38 foot. Just nothing.
Did you know? Yeah, I mean, 38, what's that? It's not even summer. There's always a sense of history talking to Jeff Rhodes once a week. That's one of the things I like. Yeah. I learned who won the Derby in 1976. There's one more thing. I meant to mention this to you. I was looking at your reports the last couple of days, just reading through. Your terminology of the day was the simplest one you have, and it was just gold. Latin name, aurum, chemical symbol, AU, which is for some reason ingrained in my memory. I don't know quite why. Specific gravity, 19.32, melting point, 1,063 degrees C. It appeared in 2 reports this week. I was going to ask you, why was it in 2?
Yeah, I forgot to change it.
I thought it was something else. It was worth a try.
If you don't get anything from it, listen, you'll only get honesty from me on this. I can't be anything else. So
you should have made up a flowery story or something, Jeff. That could be for next week.
Yeah, I don't do flowery stories. So I do bullish stories. I'm very happy. I'll be much happier when we're talking about gold up $100 rather than down $100. So let's see. But at the end of the day, gold is if you look at the way it's operated, the action over the last 2 or 3 years, we're still looking very good. And on the year to date, I think we're only down a few percent. So, yeah. So let's see.
It's got to be. I mean, I have a note here. Gold was up 64% in 2025. So I guess, in real terms, we're still well up. Let's see what happens in the next week. We'll be talking to you on next Friday, Jeff.
Next Friday. Yeah, absolutely. I'm around. I'm probably like to travel 1-2 places more, but there's always time for Mira. I look forward to it.
We appreciate it. Jeff Rhodes, Managing Director, Business Development, Middle East and Asia at Monetary Metals. Good to talk to you, Jeff, and stay cool.
Okay, take care, Tim.
Cheers, bye-bye. All of our previous interviews are available through mirabusiness.fm.
Mira Business FM, where business comes to talk. Mira Business FM, your daily guide to the markets, money, and more.
It's the morning drive. So Dubai is doubling down on confidence after the recent regional conflict. Government leaders have brought businesses together to protect the Emirates' status as a global hub. And we've seen the Dubai It campaign, which is really about reinforcing I think resilience and looking at future growth. So what can every business, from startups and SMEs through to the larger regional corporations, international corporations, what can they learn when uncertainty becomes the new normal? It's certainly what we've been through. With me now is a startup investor, serial entrepreneur, Ellen Manert. Hopefully we're going to get some practical insights on leading through disruption, making smarter decisions, and finding opportunities when the future feels unpredictable. Ellen, good to meet you.
Good to meet you. Good to be here. Thank you.
Good to have you here. So look, the government is stepping in to secure the kind of hub status of Dubai, I think, at the moment. What's the most important psychological shift a founder needs to make right now to stop surviving and to start growing again? Let's jump straight in.
Let's jump straight in. So I would say, and I always talk based on my own experiences, is that a founder who doesn't know their or his decision-making pattern will always lose. So I would say everybody that starts a business or is in the business has to know themselves very well. If you don't know yourself, you will jump out of fear. You will make decision-making out of maybe the news outlet or what you're receiving or what's going on around you. Okay. When you know yourself, you know your business, you know your decision-making, and you know the long-term strategy of your business. So a lot of times the people that I mentor, they don't know themselves. And if you don't know, and what I mean with don't know yourself is, why do you make the decisions that you make? Why do you make decisions maybe based out of fear or maybe based out of ego? Mm-hmm. And that's most of the time where everything goes left. But if you can make decisions out of who you are, out of what your company or your business actually need, I think that you are always secure because you know that you are in it for the long term and that disruption will always be there.
Okay, so if you're making decisions as a business owner and you know yourself, as you put it, it's that ability to kind of step outside of yourself, step outside of the emotion, and it's almost kind of look in.
Exactly, it's having a helicopter view of the situation instead of being there. Because when you are in it, you are an emotional being. So your decision making is based out of emotion. So, and most of the time, when you are in this structure, a way of thinking, you don't see it clearly. And to have, as a founder, if you don't have clarity, you will always miss.
Yeah, okay. So if you're able to kind of, I do this quite a lot now, actually. I just kind of take a step back, and one of the things I've kind of learned to do, and I used to think this was nonsense, but actually it really works, is just to take a breath.
Take a breath.
And it has a calming effect. And if you apply that to business in the same way, there's a parallel.
Exactly. Okay. So before you make any decisions, it only takes 90 seconds before your brain takes off with you, runs off with you, and you are, running around not being grounded anymore. So when you can just take 90 seconds, when you are feeling overwhelmed, when you listen to something from the news or whatever, and you feel like, oh my gosh, I need to react, what is going on? When you just take 90 seconds to breathe, you will see that you're already much more calmer. It works like that with our brains as well. So
I'm going to introduce you to my wife because it doesn't take 90 seconds for her, I'll tell you that. But then she's a Scot. I was going to just, there's lots I want to talk to you about, your businesses, your experience, everything else. There's a great deal to get through, but I'm just interested in your thoughts on this. The Dubai government has moved pretty quickly to support businesses. There are a number of initiatives that have been announced. The Dubai It campaign is one of those after the crisis. But what stands out to you about the government response here that you've seen?
One of the things that stand out is I saw the Crown Prince immediately being in the room, with the founders, with the investors, with the hoteliers, with the hospitality governors. How do we get tourists back? What do you need? How do we get investors back? They are there. They are present. They don't hide. And I'm not saying that all the decision making is suitable or right for everybody, but what I do think that's very striking in their leadership is they don't shy away, and they are there in the discussion, in the meetings, with the investors, with the people, with the founders, trying to find a solution and trying to grow from there.
Taking a lead. I mean,
And
it's
taking the lead, for sure. Look at
proactivity,
what he's
isn't it?
doing with the Dubai. He's taking a lead in that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does the Dubai campaign say about the mindset that you need, do you think?
That this region is not over, that is just the beginning. And what it says to me that, disruption, war, whatever crisis, it will always be there. And I feel like the regions, the countries, the leaders that can show up in those times with like new campaigns, with real structure, with showing real resilience, because that's actually what resilience is about. It's not like making sure that you are handling the situation when it's there, but it's making sure that you already thought about a lot of things. And I think that's also the fundamental part of this region, that there's a lot of chaos. I just visit the Forbes Middle East Summit regarding building the future. And if you see how many funds that are put away to grow this region, that is not PR, it's not a stunt, it's a region that is really certain about their growth, and they don't shy away because of this war, COVID, or whatever disruption may happen. I feel like they will only come stronger and better out of this.
It's amazing what you can face when you face it head on.
Yes,
But
exactly.
I guess if you're left with no choice,
Yes.
There's nothing else you can do. But you can get through it. I mean, the Dubai campaign to me is really a confidence campaign. It's about projecting
Exactly.
confidence.
Yeah.
How do you, as a founder, in your experience, project that kind of same level of confidence to your team and your investors without appearing to be kind of dismissive of risk? Because you have to acknowledge that times are tough or whatever it is. But how do you front up to things like that?
You have to be prepared, and you don't front up when the situation arrives. You front up when everything is calm. And I think most of the founders forget that, especially founders that makes decision on spot, as decision making, like thinking about their cash flow when the situations arrive. No, think about your cash flow when everything is calm. Make sure that your company can survive 5 years from now when everything is calm. You have to do the work. You have to put in the energy, the structure, the base of your company when everything is calm, and not do it when the situation arrives, because then you are too late.
I mean, which is fine, but then, I mean, this kind of happened overnight, didn't
did.
it? So, I
Yeah,
mean, it's
yeah.
slightly different. You got a
Yeah.
macro environment that shifted literally overnight on February the 28th.
Yeah.
I read a phrase, I was trying to put this in a way, so I've got to be honest with you, I plugged this into AI, and it came back with this: leaders often suffer from analysis paralysis. I think that's a fantastic phrase. We should trademark that.
Yeah.
But what's your framework when you have to make decisive calls, when you don't have all the data, you're not really aware of what's going on, there's uncertainty happening? How do you do that?
How do you do?
How do you face that?
You will never have all the data. You will never be ready to make decisions. So how do you do that? It's a belief. And that's what I mean, that if you believe in yourself as a founder, if you believe in your business, if you are in it for the long term, your whole decision making and patterns are different than from somebody that is living day by day. That is the differentiator, I feel like, from most of the founders. So the one that are very structure in their decision making, the calmness that you bring in. And again, making sure that you are prepared. And I know, and then you will say, but it happened overnight. I know it happened overnight. But life didn't happen overnight. When you are in it, doesn't matter which kind of segment or business you are in, you always have to make sure and know that something can happen. So you have to stay prepared. And staying prepared means that you don't have to fire your best talent when things happen, what a lot of companies does. But also staying ahead means that you can also earn and make a lot of profit in downtimes. That's how I see it. You know, when things
see
go
it as an
off and the
opportunity.
opportunity for sure,
Yeah,
and most of the people are fleeing the region, that's where I'm like, I'm staying. I'm waiting for these opportunities. I'm waiting for the stress deals coming out from the apartments or big developers. You know, so there's also opportunity in there, and that's all. And when you are grounded in yourself, again, your decision making that you are here for the long term, I think you think differently, and you just you decide differently.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit a little more about you, your
Yeah.
background as a founder. You're a serial investor. You are the founder of Era of You,
yes.
which is it's for founders that want to have impact and make profit.
Yeah.
So you coach people really.
Yeah.
You've built a number of businesses.
Yeah.
You've been through a number of market cycles, no
Yeah.
doubt. You've been in textiles, in hospitality, in real estate.
Yeah.
Tell me about some of the experiences that you really draw from. A couple of things that really stand out.
There's a couple of things. The biggest is the hospitality business with more than 100 employees in the Caribbean region. We were very big in the Dominican Republic, Jamaica, Costa Rica. Then COVID hits. I have more than 100 employees. What do you do? That's an overnight situation. Sure. You cannot work anymore. Your whole operation is still. But what I was doing before COVID hit, I made sure I already knew that, okay, my business is going well. We are doing well. We are growing yearly. But I need to make a decision now to hit a different way. So 5 years before, I already started to go online. I created a marketing team that was writing blogs about all of the region and trying to give different type of information to our customers than just being at our activities and then experiencing that. So 5 years prior, before COVID, I already went online. We were not growing online, but we were present, we were there. And then when COVID hit, I was like, okay, of course, things happened. I needed to fire some people because sometimes you have to make hard decisions. But it also made me realize that I did have people out there in operation that were very knowledgeable about the region that we are operating with. So I took them with me into my market team, and they were doing daily podcasting, small short videos online or on social media pages, and we blew up. So when everything opened, we made our whole losses back in 3 months' time because we didn't vanish. We made sure that we were online. FedEx made his biggest profit after COVID. Zoom made his biggest profit after COVID. So what I'm saying that disruption will always be there. You just have to know, and the people that live life like everything is Disneyland and everything will be okay, and you don't have to stay prepared. They are the one that falls on their faces when disruption hit. But people that knows that disruption will always be there and are prepared, they actually can gain a lot of profit during those times.
You've got to be constantly grounded in reality, but it's very. You can see why it's very easy when times are good.
Yeah.
You know, you're spending money, you're bringing people in.
Yeah.
You can see why people get carried away, can't you?
You lay back, you like, this will be forever. And I think that's one thing that I learned very young. I don't know why. I think one of my mentors, when I was like 19, he gave me one advice: nothing is forever, and don't ever get comfortable in your situation, especially if you are responsible for a team or for people. You always have to make sure that you are ahead of things. Yeah. And I took that with me during my whole journey.
Do you know, when you walked in and I heard your accent, and I went, "Oh, you're from the Netherlands,"
yes.
and I kind of accused you of being Dutch, which I didn't mean to do that. It was
no, but I'm okay with it because I am. I was born and raised there, so.
But the thing is this, right? There's the stereotype of the people from the Netherlands are very direct, very blunt. And that's a reasonable stereotype. People tend to say what they think. Yeah. Whereas where I'm from the UK, we probably don't say what we think. That's just differences in people, right?
Yes.
But do you think that attitude, because it's a little bit more hard-nosed, it's a little bit more blunt, it's more business approach, how has that helped you, that kind of mentality thing?
A lot. I think
so?
In business, you have to be direct. And everything else doesn't work. You have to be direct to your team. You have to be direct to your suppliers. You have to be direct to yourself. And I think that's actually most of the important thing.
That's
being
probably
direct
the most important thing.
and honest to yourself. And most of the time we lack on that. And it's a journey.
Okay, so let's get back to founders, because that's really where the heart of this conversation is.
Yeah.
What at the moment is the one opportunity that every crisis presents when that maybe founders overlook? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When times are tough, how do you find the opportunity? That
I
diamond
think
in the rough.
most of the founders, most of the companies are struggling nowadays with talent. And when everything is going well, talent is one of the hardest things to get because you cannot grow alone. You need talent to grow your company, especially if you have a vision and you want to do something big.
Right.
So when downtimes or disruption happens, talents are usually laid off, and it's very easy to find them for cheaper sometimes. So I think that's how I grow my team as well, and how I gain access to the best talent for the businesses that I'm building, actually during downtime. Now again, here in Dubai, to find like great leaders or head of marketing or good CEOs or good managers sometimes is very difficult. Because the good companies take them over, they pay them very well, and they are stuck in one place. So in downtime, I would advise every founder that open your eyes to get talent. And the worst thing that you can do, actually, if you have invested in a business, in a team or whatever, is to stop it, is to go quiet. You have to actually make sure that you are right, even if you are taking small steps, that you are still there, that you are visible, that you have been seen, and take this opportunity actually to grow your team or to restructure your team in a way that will suit you when things open up again.
It is about keeping going, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a lot of momentum necessary, I
Yeah.
suppose. And, when things are tough, great talent wants stability, just as everybody does.
Yes.
So how do you compete if you're a startup, you're a small organization with the big established entities? If you want to, retain people, attract people, how do you do that? I mean, it's an ongoing dilemma.
It's an ongoing dilemma, and it will be there. Of course, things are changing with AI slowly as well. But I think you compete to be a startup that, that projects stability and certainty in a way, because people like that, especially talent. They like to be in a place where the founder or the leader is very certain of where they are going. It doesn't mean that the founder or the leader has to have it right all the time, but there is like, a groundness, a calmness, and certainty there, what attracts people. And people want to work because they are looking for stability. At the end of the day, everybody wants stability. Everyone wants to make sure that the lights is put on, there's food on the table for the family. So when you are as a startup, when you work on yourself as a founder and as a leader, and you are certain because you took the time in working on yourself, your decision making, your patterns, why do you lead the way you do, and you can project that onto your team or the people that you are looking for, then I think you are a step off, because most of the time also talents in big companies, they are stuck, they have reached a position, and sometimes they are also looking for new opportunities actually to grow themselves as well.
Okay. Not everybody comes out of a crisis like this successfully. There are some real heartbreak stories around. I mean, that much is true. And that's sad, but it's unfortunately that's reality. That is life. But how do you know if a business model is really broken because of regional conditions? There's been a crisis, or if it's just a dip, and actually you just need to tough it out. Because that's the make or break situation, isn't it? It's hard.
Look at what we can buy worldly. Even toothpicks, that's what I always say to younger students. You can even marketing toothpicks. So there's
I didn't expect toothpicks this morning,
that's why I'm saying. I'm just saying something like, who thought that the founder or the owner of toothpicks will be a billionaire, whatever. So there are no broken business idea. There are only broken founders and broken leaders that doesn't believe in their products. And I stand firmly on that. Because I've seen so many products and things succeed. What I thought, who needs this? Who wants this? And it succeed. And I see so many great ideas fail because of the leader and the founder.
Okay. So it comes down to, I suppose, character and resilience. And resilience is the word that we're using daily at the moment. But what practically can you do as a business to become more resilient so that you're ready for the next disruption? You know, I mean, I guess obviously you have to learn the lessons, but the one thing we know, there's going to be another disruption.
There's going to be
Sooner rather than later.
Yeah. So the one thing that you can do, my advice, the only thing that I do is to make sure that, and it sounds a little bit crazy, who am I and why am I doing the things that I'm doing? You know, what is the vision behind it? What is the mission behind it? And when you have that clearly for yourself, you will actually almost survive because there's a bigger purpose there. And when you lead that way, you are actually always prepared because you are not in it for the short term. You are not in it just to make money. You are not in it just to pay your bills. And that's the whole thing. That I think also that is this region. I think it projects itself beautifully. The confidence of this region is not that they won't fail or they won't have it wrong. The confidence is the bigger vision in how does this region looks like in 50 years. And you know, we are not even a talk about the sheikh, the prince, the leader, the current leader. He's thinking about maybe even how does it look like for my grandchildren. And most of the time we start businesses thinking about merely ourselves. We don't think about the impact that it will have like 5 years later, 10 years later. And so you have a short-term mindset. When you have a long-term mindset, I think and I believe that you can overcome everything. And, you know, it's not only based on you, but actually what you are doing in the whole.
It's a good point, but that's vision, isn't it?
Yes, that's vision.
Real
Yeah, you need to. Yes,
vision.
but I feel like if you are a founder, if we are talking about startups, founders, entrepreneurs, you need to have a vision. If you don't have a vision, then what are you doing at the end of the day?
I wonder sometimes if some founders don't have the vision that is necessary. I mean, that's probably a different discussion. Ellen, one more question for you because we're over time. And it's the kind of standard finishing question, I think. And any advice if you're a first-time entrepreneur and you're looking at the market now and you're thinking, "Oh, is it the right? No, I'm going to do it." What would your advice be to her?
If I was a first-time entrepreneur, startup, whatever, I would go in the market now, right away.
Okay.
I would advise them to
Jump
don't wait,
in.
jump in right away because you will never be ready. You won't wake up one day like, oh, there's a sign, I'm ready. No, jump in, but take it slowly. Make sure that one thing what is very important, two things, cash. Always make sure that you have cash flow to survive, at least for the first 30 days, because that's when disruption happens. The first 30 days are the most active ones. A lot of things happen, shut down. Maybe the airport is shutting down, whatever. So make sure that you can survive the first 30 days. After that, start talking with banks, with family and friends. Make sure your cash flow can keep you going. And the next thing is be careful with decision making. Don't fire your team right away, Make small steps while going. Because if you make all your decisions in 1 week and the second week it stops and, the airport's open or, the deal is signed with, whoever, and you can go on, you are like, oh my God, why did I make this decision so fast? And usually it's because you don't know yourself and it's based on fear and ego most of the time.
We've come full circle, haven't we?
Yeah.
Step outside yourself and, be careful with your emotions as well.
Exactly.
It's been great to talk to you. I appreciate it. Ellen Monette is a startup investor, serial entrepreneur, lots of other things. There's a big, long list.
A mother. I like to say that I'm mother of 2 beautiful sons that live and work in Dubai as well, and I'm very proud of them.
Good. I didn't know that, but good for you. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you here. Look out for more interviews and highlights as well coming soon across our Mira Business FM YouTube and Instagram platforms.
Mira Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio. Mira Business FM. The sound of success.
This is Luxury Breaks from Mira Business FM, and Jacek Ziamek is from X Motors here in Dubai, and he's back with me. Nice to see you.
Good morning.
You're looking well, I have to
Thank
say.
you.
I'm liking
Thank
the
you.
jacket. If you're listening to this and you can't see it, it's like a cream and it's textured. Looks good. Yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about cars, shall we?
Yeah?
This is interesting. You know, I saw this yesterday. It popped up, and I read. I have this habit of reading one newspaper for one side or one website, whatever it is, and then looking for the other side on another website. It's just a habit thing. I don't know how to read this. The Ferrari CMO, Chief Marketing and Chief Commercial Officer, actually, Enrico Galliera, has stepped down after 16 years with the company. And on one side, he's stepped down
Try to
from
imagine
his role.
what happened inside there.
This is the thing. It was announced in late June, just a couple of weeks, not even that, after the unveiling of the Luce, the new electric car, right? So he stepped down. He's moving on to, I think he's going to, where's he going? I can't remember. Doesn't matter for the story. But is it that he stepped down, or has he been fired? And is it because of the Luce? Because depending on where you look, that's what it is. So what's going on with the Ferrari Luce?
We'll see, because Ferrari claims that they receive a lot of down payments, deposits,
That's what they say, yep.
also from the China market, which is very important for them.
Sure.
So, but still, European market, it's for Europeans, it's disaster. The design outside is... Let's see how it looks in the real world, at the street,
Yeah.
when you be able to touch it, but...
Just the jury really is out. I mean, the stock price fell 8% in a single trading day following the debut.
Cueto Calera
Which is quite a
says that was a big storm inside the company.
That's the perception. That's what we hear. I mean, you don't know.
They
Yeah.
will never tell you about it. But
No, for sure.
and the new chief is from BMW.
That's right. It is a guy called Massimiliano Di Silvestre, former head of BMW Italy.
Yeah.
Coming to Ferrari. And he starts on July the 1st. And it's interesting that there are pains to point out he reports directly to the Ferrari CEO. There's Benedetto Vigna. But that's being pointed out in every press release as well. So it leads you to believe... Well, no, it leads you to believe that... the man at the top is going to have maybe even more influence.
It's not so big story, but we spoke about it last time, I think. Ferrari forced to have it their newest models, a new steering wheel with the touch buttons,
Yeah.
Now they change it. Yeah. They give you also the option. If you like, we can change in your car. And the offering for the Puro Sangue, the offering for the 296 SF90, of course not for free. Nothing is for free in Ferrari, but
I've noticed.
But we'll see what they say, because the sales result, the sales say it was a right or wrong decision.
Well. When we were first talking about the Luce, you came in and you pointed out that, look, the winner in this is Ferrari. Whatever you think of the car, this is, there are pre-orders there, and it is, the pre-orders have sold out, right? The initial run of cars. I don't know quite how that works.
See the story of the brand from the racing team, because the Ferrari was initially, that was a racing team of Alfa Romeo. Okay.
Yep.
From the racing team, they create one of the most famous automotive brands and also fashion brand. If you get inside the website, half of it is selling the clothes, glasses,
merch, as they call it.
Merch. It's
a little bit more than merch, but essentially it's merch.
It's merch, but I think it's already the fashion brand.
It's very upmarket merch. Yeah. But having that label.
And see, the Lamborghini is trying to copy paste this idea.
That's very true. Yeah. Everybody does merch now, though.
Yeah.
No, it's just a thing, isn't it? If you haven't got the cap, then you're not part of the brand, are you? So that's one side. So we're wait and wonder with that story, but it is a change. It was just interesting to me. I was reading it on, I think it was BBC or CNN. I think it was the BBC, and it was, he's stepping down, and it's this. And then I went to another blog to read it, and it was, it was fired because of this. So there's this wildly different reporting, as is always the case. We've had a debut in the Middle East at the Museum of the Future. Did you see this story?
Yeah, Kia.
This is the Kia story.
Yeah.
It's the PV5.
Another ugly car, but it's not about the beauty of the car.
It's not
The idea
anything
is
to do
completely
with it.
different, okay?
This is it was the first appearance in this region. It's not
It looks
really
like
been
a weak
seen.
ideas of creating the cars of the future in the 80s when they were creating science fiction movies, remember?
you know what?
Something like this, it looks like that.
It's kind of boxy like that. No, you're absolutely right. So this is the PBV lineup, and that means platform beyond vehicle. Okay, so the message from Kia is it's not just a car, it's a comprehensive
It's a kind of
platform.
utility vehicle.
Utility kind of thing, exactly. So it's been launched at the Museum of the Future here in Dubai. So there's 5 variants.
They
You can have a
found
passenger
a
one, a cargo
significant place
car.
to announce this car.
It's a very impressive thing to do, a very good thing to do. It's kind of a transport vehicle, I suppose. So you can have your own one, you can have a corporate one, you can have like a hotel one, you can have like a construction side where the side drops down. All of this, all for logistics, you can see that.
I think that's the idea of
It's a great idea.
fighting with Japanese brands here and Chinese brands here.
Well, you would think so, wouldn't you? Fast charging, 30 minutes to 80% for, obviously it's an electric vehicle, all the usual stuff. But
And talking about the charging, you can smoothly move to the another news where the BMW claims they
are
can.
you moving already? Have you got fed up with my Kia story? I just think it's interesting that it happened here as well. The Kia launches here, so it's kind of like the smart city agenda that we've got across the Gulf, but it launches from Dubai. That's the PV5. You want to go straight to BMW?
I only wanted to mention that Kia
You
is,
do like Kia.
is one of the most reliable vehicles in the market, fighting
Yeah.
with the Toyota, I think.
Really?
Yeah,
That's high praise from you.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm impressed.
But I've never been reliable.
No, not at all. But I think you make a really good point. I think in Kias I remember of old, people were kind of, but now I think they're tremendous. Hyundai as well, very reliable.
This is the same company.
There are parallels.
Technically,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Technically speaking, BMW. What was the BMW story you wanted to move on to? Is it the one? Is it the
Again,
one? Did I send
you
a
found
BMW
something
story?
about the AV, about the charging, about
Is this the new?
So we
i3?
discussed about it's not important about the performance, about the comfort, about the how useful this car is. No, how fast we can charge. What is the range? That's all. Finish.
Well,
Period. Why the talking about the EVs is only about those two factors.
Everybody's marketing. Well, that's marketing. You got to play up your strengths, haven't you? But this is an interesting one because we've talked about the Neue-Klasse platform a little bit. This is this whole range of models that are coming out over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So this is the new i3.
They are in the competition. Who will be the ugliest product of the automotive market in 2027?
Yeah. Well, that's trademark Jacek Ziomek, X Motors. But this is a 906-kilometer range for this car. That's one of the things being touted.
I remember the days when I was talking with my friends about the EVs years ago. I told them, guys, wait a while. Let the Germans wake up.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it doesn't surprise me that you'd say that.
We can say the Chinese cars are cheaper. They are flooding the market, blah, blah, blah. Okay.
Yeah.
But you have to appreciate the power of the Germans in the automotive market.
I think that's absolutely true. I mean, this is one of the longest range electric sedans available, or will be. I mean, it's coming out now. It's around about $70,000, I think. But it's I think it's an impressive achievement. It's a fast car as well, the i3. 4.7
Have you seen
seconds
slow
to
EV?
100. No, I've been in. A friend of mine took me out in an EV and put it into whatever the mode was, insane mode or something, and then took off, and I was just frightened. It was quite an incredible experience.
So talking about performance, we can just jump to the Formula E.
You're doing all the segues this morning. I like this. You might as well just come and sit in this seat, I think. But this was an interesting story. You know that I don't follow Formula One particularly closely.
Yeah.
I see the headlines. It's not my thing. But here was a headline that jumped out at me. Formula E, the electric championship eyeing global dominance. And it's a piece about the Gen 4 car, which has been unveiled for next season. So season 13 is 26 to 27. All-wheel drive, 400 kilowatts in race mode, 600 kilowatts in qualifying, and attack mode. I liked. That's the way to drive a fast car, in attack mode, I suppose. But the CEO, and this I thought was the real standout thing, you're going to see lap times about 10 seconds faster than the previous generation of cars.
Previous generation,
That's
but
a jump.
still, this kind of cars cannot be the F1 cars on the classic racing truck.
No, but this is a genre or a level of driving that's growing.
Funny is, a Formula E car is lighter than the Formula One car.
Lighter the car, the faster it goes. Yeah.
But keep in your mind that the race is only 45 minutes.
True.
Yeah.
Okay. But acceleration 30% quicker than an F1 car. 200 miles an hour top speed.
Not so advanced in aerodynamics. That's different purpose of the car. And I remember years ago I heard the interview with the guy from Brembo, which is the guys are designing the brakes for the different racing series. And he explained what is the difference between the F1 brakes and the rally brakes and endurance brakes. Formula One is easy, he said, because it's only 2 hours race. But Le Mans, the brakes have to survive 24 hours. So it depends of the weight of the car, of the track, of the time of the competition. So there are two different cars, like a Formula E and Formula One. It looks similar. They are fast, they are under track, but if you take a closer look at the details, they are completely different.
But there's going to be a big change in this season, not just in
But
10%
I think
faster
2
lap
3
times.
years and they can match.
Yeah, well, this is the point, isn't it? If you look at, it's had an endorsement, this car, from David Coulthard, Formula One Grand Prix driver for a number of years. He tested this car 4 laps over the Monaco E-Prix in May last month.
Okay.
Went through the tunnel in Monaco. Went through that tunnel, and he described it as traveling at warp speed. With the tunnel lights turning into laser beams. That was his kind of, the romantic notion of that. But his first words, and this is what I think is interesting, because you can write all kinds of flowery things, warp speed and the lights are on and it was this and it was that to dress things up. But his first words out of the cockpit were, "Oh my God, that's insane. It's genuinely fast." And that was his kind of immediate reaction to the difference in this car over the last years.
Maybe I'm wrong,
Generation.
but I think it's easier to drive Formula E than Formula One.
What makes you say that?
It's not so demanding. The kind of powertrain is different. The power, how it exposes its power, it's different. I think that it
less
changes.
demanding on the body, do you mean? Or
From
mentally less tiring? What is it? Physically?
You have many different other factors in the Formula One. Okay.
Okay.
This is simple. If you compare, let's compare the same car, very similar car, EV and ICE. Okay.
Okay.
In an EV, everything is easy. Just flat out, speed up, brakes. There are no gear changes. There are no strategy. You don't need to think about the torque, how it changes related to the gear, related to the RPM. Everything is constant in the EV. It's simpler.
Okay.
There is a different kind of how it generates the power.
Sure. No, understood.
So you can focus on the power itself, not only on the other things which are, let's say, disturbing the.
So you're just focusing on power and track rather than gear change.
Yeah.
Okay. And obviously drivers around you in the race, but okay. All right, I can see that. But it's just, this is the story at the moment. Formula E is growing, 420 million fans worldwide, 450 million expected for the new season. Those are the projections.
It's important for the
and
region
it starts
because
in Jeddah,
yeah.
it? 21, is it 21? It's 21 rounds across 13 venues, starting in Jeddah in
And we
December.
can compare if the track would be the same which Formula One is using. We can compare directly the times, lap times of the Formula One and Formula E.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that can be your job for next year. We could get you to do that, and you could just come in and you could be the Formula E guy rather than the ex-Motors guy. Well, you could be both. There's two things I just wanted to get to very quickly with you because I like this. Two Koenigsegg stories, okay? And I know, have you got any Koenigsegg's in?
We know the brand.
I know you know the brand. But,
We don't have
are they
any
popular?
of them right now.
Not right now. Have you sold any in the past?
We are waiting for our 2 ordered cars.
Oh, is it the Jesco, the Absolute, or is it which one is it?
The
You can't tell me.
most anticipated one,
Uh-huh.
which should have a different engine. Then Christian said we're changing our mind. We give him another powertrain,
Mm-hmm.
and let's see. We have one of the few pieces ordered. So probably once the Koenigsegg say, okay, we are ready.
So you talk directly to Christian von Koenigsegg,
Yeah,
you guys? Oh, okay, I didn't.
it's the best way.
That.
It's the best way.
Oh, I'm sure it is. Yeah.
We tried to make it before through the dealers, but the direct connection is the best one.
Right. Okay. Well, they've set a new record. They've set 2 new records. I just wanted to do this very quickly. The Jesco Absolute posted a quarter mile time of 8.54 seconds. It's about 305 kilometers an hour, and a half mile time of 12.76 seconds. About 232 miles an hour. It's about 373 kilometers an hour. That's pretty fast.
Pretty fast.
Pretty a good bit quicker than the previous benchmark, significantly better. And the reason I bring this up, the first time in production car history, a road legal production car,
Yeah.
limited production car, has broken the 300 kilometer an hour barrier within a quarter mile. Getting up to that kind of speed that quick, pretty impressive. It's one side of it. Okay, they've also got.
I never thought the quarter mile is a kind of automotive discipline.
No, I know, but it's that kind of acceleration is that's what you're looking at. They've also got the fastest Lego car. Did you see this story?
Which one?
A Lego car.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think is fantastic. So it's Sedair's Spear, the world's fastest full-size Lego car. I was reading, this was from Top Gear Middle East, actually. But they got
New category of the Lego.
Well, it is, but you look at the car and you think, that would be fun to drive. 111 kilometers an hour, and it's made of Lego bricks. Technical Lego bricks, not,
Okay.
like
of course.
the small kid ones, but there you go. 327,000 technical Lego pieces. I think that's such a great story. It's a beautiful looking thing. Genuine Pirelli tires, the whole lot.
Lego is everywhere right now. If you remember, there was an idea to use Lego as a kind of messages during the conflict.
Oh, okay. Yes, yeah, that's very true. That was a highly amusing thing. But they took bits from Star Wars Lego, all kinds of bits and pieces. Electric motor. They didn't try and cram a twin turbo in there, obviously. But I just think that's a lovely little story. That is luxury brakes for today. Jacek Ziemek is from X Motors. Showroom opening any closer? September time?
Yeah, September.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll let you know for sure.
We'll come down and see the Koenigsegg. Then good to see you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. More interviews like this you can find at mirabusiness.fm.
Mira Business FM, the sound of success.
This is Mira Business FM. It's the morning drive with the UAE's 30th of June Emiratisation deadline fast approaching, just over a week away. Businesses are now racing to meet targets and also to attract local talent. So joining us now, Zakaria Dole is the founder of Dowlati, which is an AI-powered Emirati hiring platform. And what it does is it does the obvious. It connects employers with local talent and vice versa. So I want to talk about the state of Emiratisation, the opportunities for Emirati professionals, and also the things that businesses need to know before the deadline. Zakaria, good to have you here. Nice to meet you.
Thank you so much for having me. It really is an honour.
You're very welcome. You see the data firsthand through your platform, right? So beyond this deadline, which is looming literally next week, how has the perception of Emiratisation changed among smaller businesses, but also the larger corporations this year, do you think?
Sure, absolutely. So to address kind of your point of the perception, I think if we first look at the larger employers, it's typically the ones with access to much bigger Emiratisation budgets and hiring budgets, they are the employers that can really access, the diamond talent. And I think that a lot of these smaller companies as well, they just need the right tools to also be able to access truly exceptional Emirati talent. And that's what Dowlati is really all about. It's about providing companies, employers with ambitious Emirati talent that can really take them to that next level.
Okay. So what are you hearing from employers? I mean, the deadline it's next week. What are employers saying to you now?
I think there's kind of two camps of employers, really. We have the ones that have been planning all year. Workforce planning, things like this, and they're getting ahead on their Emiratisation goals. And then there's the other camp, which is more of a bit of a scramble, right?
I was going to say, help!
Yeah. The deadline comes and they, picking up the phone, calling any Emirati they can, extending offers, they're all over the place, scrambling to hire those UAE nationals in order to be compliant. And those are the ones that really kind of struggle now.
Yeah, they're the ones that need help. I mean, we hear a lot about the talent gap, right? That's a phrase. Is the challenge finding the right skills, or is it a mismatch in expectations between what local talent's looking for and what the businesses are actually offering?
I think there's a few actually misconceptions within Emiratisation. There's three myths, I think. One of those myths is that people think that Emirati talent is too expensive to hire. I also think that another one of them is they won't stay, and there's like an unwillingness that they don't really want to work. And then thirdly, there's not enough of them. I actually disagree with all of them. I think, firstly, to address the too expensive point, there is now a set baseline minimum salary for UAE nationals, which is about 6,000 dirhams, which I think isn't far off most expat talent after visas and everything like this. Then in terms of the won't stay factor, right? If we look at why retention and turnover might be so high, I think it's because we get into a position where employers, they have this looming deadline and then they must panic hire. So they rush hire to hire any UAE national that they possibly can. And 9 times out of 10, when they do hire that UAE national talent, they're not truly a good fit for the role, right? They're just hiring from a compliance from a compliance perspective, a compliance standard, rather than someone that's truly able to, grow into that role, because ultimately that is what UAE nationals are looking for. They're looking to contribute, show their skills within the private sector. I think I'm a living example of that. I think PwC came out with a study, and I think that they said it was about 61% of young UAE nationals are actually willing and wanting to work in the private sector. As I said, I think I'm a living example. Really, the chance for career growth and trajectory for UAE nationals in the private sector is massive. And I think that, unfortunately, a lot of UAE nationals get treated more from a compliance perspective than a growth perspective. And I think that
it's ticking the box, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the narrative that we really want to change at Dowlati. It's providing the employers with the best UAE national talent to really propel their company. Something that we like to say is view Emiratisation as your competitive advantage, right? Not something it's just about compliance.
Yeah, okay.
Especially in this country, it gives so much to us. It's I think UA nationals feel the exact same way, and they really want to be able to give back and make sure that they're in positions that are meaningful, not just the receptionist role that gets the minimum amount of work.
So it's dispelling these kind of stereotypes, these misperceptions.
Exactly.
Is important. Okay. How prepared is the private sector now compared to the previous kind of Emiratization? Well, let's call them target periods, for want of a better phrase.
Sure.
But how much better is it better?
I would say it's far more mature than a few years ago. Obviously, Emiratization has come into effect for quite a few years now. The market has grown completely upwards. We have 152,000 Emiratis currently in the private sector, employed by 29,000 companies. And this new frontier is the 20 to 49 size company, SMEs also being part of this Emiratization mandate now as well. So I think the mindset has shifted faster than kind of the tools and the machinery to really support that mandate.
Okay. I'm interested in the misconceptions. I think I said misperceptions. That should be a word as well. What are the biggest misconceptions businesses still have about hiring Emirati talent? What do you see every day? What do your friends, say to you?
Yeah, as I was saying before, I think it's still those three. It's too expensive, they won't stay, and maybe there's not enough UA national talent to actually fill the quota. But I think the supply side is definitely there. There's enough ambitious UA nationals, but it's just the discovery. The gap is discovery in finding that talent. That's the disconnect.
Right. You mentioned there, make Emiratization, your kind of your USP, like a business advantage. But do you think companies are beginning to view Emiratization in that way, or is it still to many? It's kind of ticking the box. It's a compliance thing. We've got to do it. How is that changing?
I would say we're kind of at the frontier of change, but I do believe that most companies are still somewhat in compliance mode. The advantage framing is where the market is going. I think, the early movers are definitely getting there, and there are some truly exceptional examples with exceptional Emiratis working in those companies. And I think that that's the broader narrative that's being built now, but it's on its way up.
Okay. What are the sectors that are making the strongest progress in attracting, but also, the key is retaining the talent? Who's doing well?
So I think we see a lot of success in, the banking and financial sectors. Within Dowlati itself, we actually cover a massive range of industries. We see real estate, finance, IT, education, healthcare, and there's also a big push now to hire UA nationals specifically in the healthcare sector. So, that will be interesting.
All right. So, and what are Emirati job seekers looking for? If there was a list of these are my requirements, if there was a reverse checklist, if you like, what are Emirati job seekers looking for from employers?
So I'm glad you asked that question, because this is really the founding story behind Dowlati, and this is why I'm so passionate about this industry. For me, being a UA national, I think there was a little bit of a misconception that it was going to be incredibly easy for me to find a role that I could grow into, something that I really loved and I can give back to the country and things like that. While that is true, I don't think that opportunity exists for every single UA national, right? I think, unfortunately, a lot of them, they do get stuck in just the compliance-driven roles, right? They're just looking at a salary, whereas I think for the majority of the UA nationals, it's not just about the salary anymore. I think it's really about growth. It's about purpose. It's about, being hired for the role, because they truly fit for the role, not just for the quota itself. I think if I could try and build or say a sentence of what UA nationals might be crying out for, it's almost like, hire me for what I can do rather than what I represent on your compliance sheet, almost.
Yeah, it was understandable, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely it is.
That's what anybody wants.
Right.
And I feel a bit of a fake asking that question in a way, but I think it's a valid question, because what people look for in a job shouldn't really vary, should it? But I think that's one side of it. I'm not just a tick in a box.
Exactly. Also for UAE nationals, I think we're very proud people.
Sure.
And they're really proud of their country. They're really proud to represent. And I think that they just ultimately want to give back. And in giving back, it is having a job where they feel like they can grow.
Yeah, okay. Where you make a real kind of commitment, I suppose. Has the quality and the variety of private sector opportunities, how much has it improved in recent years, Zachary?
I think that is also night and day. Emiratization has been a law for a few years now. And I think 5 years ago, it was a handful of those kind of token roles, very kind of basic compliance roles, right? Whereas today, we're really seeing a broad range. Within our platform itself, we see some roles which are marketing managers for luxury fashion brands, and we see other things for, food and beverage and in the retail space. It's really just kind of engineering products. And, something that's amazing is we've actually had a few space-based roles, which I'm incredibly passionate about as well. I think, that's kind of the frontier of humanity, but we won't go there. Engineering, products, finance, space, as I said, the spread is very real, and I think it is growing. Obviously, there's an element of, well, of course that's the case, because there's obviously an increased amount of Emiratization as a requirement. I think I know that now we sit in about a 10% Emiratization requirement for companies over 50 skilled employees working in their companies. So the amount of roles that kind of have had to be brought into this pool for UAE national talents has also grown.
Right. What are the challenges for businesses? Let's put the other hat on for a moment. What challenges do businesses face when it comes to recruiting local talent?
So I think you kind of have four main key ones. The first one is being discovery, right? So traditional channels, I think, are really quite slow for employees to find talent that's actually a great fit. Right. Part of the founding story actually is when I was in university, I was looking around online for potential job opportunities once I graduated, and it was a little bit of a disarray, right? There was a big disconnect between the roles that I was seeing, whether that was on different job platforms, and a lot of job platforms that are actually utilized for Emiratization, for example, LinkedIn, is not curated around UAE nationals or nationalization specifically, right? So you have employers posting roles and hundreds of non-UAE nationals applying for these positions. So these poor talent acquisition managers spend, hours just. The first job is filtering through who.
The filtering is the thing, isn't it?
Exactly. Yeah. So discovery is definitely one of them. Speed, I think, is another, because that discovery process takes so long. It's reported within our own kind of internal systems that hiring a UAE national takes typically about 2 to 3 months, or 1 to 3. It really ranges, or it's about how much access you have to those resources. But when you have a mandate, you really need to be able to hire that UAE national talent quickly. So on Dolity, we've seen companies be able to actually hire 8 UAE nationals in just 2 weeks. That was one of our kind of first big testimonials that really was a light bulb moment for me and made me feel like a lot of the work that we're doing is actually worth it. Would also say that retention is a big challenge. As we mentioned before, a lot of these compliance roles, it's not actually a good fit for the UAE national. They're actually not very satisfied because there's not much growth for them. And then they decide to actually turn over and change roles. And then another one, as I was kind of talking about earlier, is the verification element. So a lot of a lot of non-UAE nationals apply for the UAE national specific roles. And what actually happens sometimes is there is such an influx of non-UAE nationals to the UAE national specific roles that then, your diamond Emiratis are actually missed because there's so much noise.
We hear this from recruiters all the time that, people just think, well, I'll give it a go. But you're not an Emirati. Why would you apply for a role that specifically says Emirati or whatever specific criteria? Oh, well, you never know. But you end up missing potentially missing the right person, don't you? Is there enough Emirati talent available to meet, the demand?
I think definitely. This is a myth that we're super passionate about busting at Dolity. So within our launch, which was about 6 months ago now, at the Tawdeef Career Fair in Abu Dhabi, which is a Emirati-specific career fair, we've grown to about 6,000 UAE nationals within our platform today. I think what companies are saying is we can't find them. It usually actually means we don't really have the right infrastructure and the right tools to find those candidates, because a lot of a lot of employers, like I mentioned earlier, they're complaining about not being able to find UAE nationals. And where are they looking? On LinkedIn, right? Where LinkedIn is not the home of the UAE nationals, really. Right. It's its own hiring ecosystem, and then Emiratization has been, added to the top of it.
Whereas, it's been bolted on top.
Exactly, right. Yeah. Whereas, with the Dolity platform, from the ground up, Emiratization was the core of that business from day one.
But if you're Emirati, just as if you're British, American, Bangladeshi, whatever, you should be on LinkedIn, shouldn't you? You should have your profile there.
Absolutely, I have one myself, and that's actually how we reach out to a lot of employers, UAE nationals, spread the word. I think it's a great platform for spreading the word. But actually, if you ask my personal opinion, I think it's kind of moved away from the professional network that it used to be. Sometimes LinkedIn now can be a bit noisy, filled with.
Yeah, I did see a lot of Father's Day stuff yesterday, and I did think, well, is that the right platform for you? Yeah. Your daughters are very nice, I'm sure, but yeah. Let me ask you about AI as a matchmaker, and about how AI, and I suppose tech as well, can help, because Dolity you use AI to facilitate connections, right? So in a process that has got kind of traditionally relied on networking, word of mouth, how does an AI-powered approach improve the quality of the hire, rather than just, obviously, it's faster?
Sure. So before I answer that question, I just kind of want to mention one point. I think, alhamdulillah, the UAE runs and spearheads so much technological and kind of urban advancements. My question before starting Dolity was, why can't we use that same, spearhead philosophy to guide the tools that we use to actually hire the UAE nationals, right? Okay. So now to answer your question about how AI itself is actually transforming the hiring landscape, what's able to happen is every time there's a role posted, let's say there's hundreds of applicants coming through, rather than an employer or a talent acquisition manager looking through every single candidate profile individually, what's happened is when they sit down and they open the computer to begin with, every single candidate, every single profile is already ranked and essentially shortlisted for you, right? We will present all of your candidates, all of your applicants in an order of relevance. And how we're doing this is proprietary, like machine learning technology, in which we cross-examine the parameters of the job seeker profile to the requirements of the job posting itself. And then we can create what we call a matchability score. And then using that matchability score, we present it not only to the job seekers themselves when they're actually applying to these roles, but also the employers. And now what's great about this kind of two-sided AI scoring is the job seekers are actually applying to roles that are truly a good fit for them. And that's also what the employers are seeing, right? So by facilitating this match on both ends, you really get like a broader kind of ecosystem of AI connectivity and relevant hiring.
Okay. What is it? I don't know if this is going to be any different from what you've already said, but I'm interested because AI is this, it's this whole new frontier for most of us. What does AI reveal about what Emirati professionals are actually looking for in an employer? Is it, compensation? Are there softer factors that move the needle? Does AI reveal anything different?
I think that actually, a lot of people, they often think it's all about the salary, whereas it's actually about, I've seen a lot of compelling packages. Just by having a compelling package, you get quite a lot of traction in attracting that UAE national talent, It's also
the banner, isn't it? It's the lights. Yeah.
Exactly. It's also about kind of career growth. I've seen roles that I find super interesting, which, to be honest, if I wasn't building this company myself, I think I would have loved to apply for them, because I do think that they're very interesting.
Open to work.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Exactly. myself being a job seeker on the application, just obviously the founder of the company, obviously I'll have a profile on it. I have seen and been matched with a lot of roles, and I'm like, wow, that's a really cool role, which is, for me, it's super positive. And these are roles that what's happening is it's looking at my work experience, right? And it's recommending my skills and my work experience to different roles that exist within that platform. Yep. And some of them can be, based off of your skills. So sometimes you can have maybe a potentially wacky suggestion, but actually when you read between the lines, it is really quite a good fit because we're using that, semantic AI scoring to source.
Okay. So it's a good way. It's a good way of finding it. It actually aids, doesn't it, in finding that diamond in the rough,
right?
I suppose.
100%.
Yeah, and matching. For businesses scrambling to meet June the 30th, the deadline, there's a temptation, I guess, as people scramble to take shortcuts. So what would your advice be to a CEO, a founder, somebody running a business who's focused purely on compliance? What are they risking by ignoring the kind of retention side of the equation?
By ignoring the retention side of the equation, I think, because Emiratization is checked semi-annually, what's going to happen is, they rush hire, they do all of this, and then as soon as that second compliance window comes up, which will be in December, obviously now we're in the June window, they're just going to run into the exact same issue. So it will be a fundamentally core kind of broken problem that they're going to keep running into until they truly fix the problem at its heart. Something that I like to think about is, would you ever hire someone that's actually not a good fit for a role? Let's say if they weren't a UA national?
It's a really good question. I mean, it should be, shouldn't it? Just the right person for that particular role at that time.
Exactly right. Exactly. You wouldn't see it in a non-UA national. I don't know.
It's not that difficult, is it?
No, it really isn't. It really isn't. Especially with the tools that are out there now.
We're out of time, unfortunately. Zachary Adola is the founder of Dolati, which is an AI-powered Emirati hiring platform. The deadline is June the 30th, so if you're scrambling, should have started earlier.
Yeah.
It'd be good to talk to you, Zachary.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is Mira Business FM. This is Mira Business FM. It's the morning drive. Alternative assets right now, and luxury watches are no longer just status symbols. They are, of course, still status symbols, but in the UAE, they're increasingly being treated as financial assets. So Dubai Business is tapping into that trend with a new buyback model. And what it does is it allows owners to unlock cash from high-end timepieces, and then there's an option to buy them back later on. George Flo is the founder of the Heritage Club. That's the company behind what it says is the region's first luxury watch purchase and buyback service. And he's here. Welcome. Good to see you.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you here, George. I'm fascinated with this because we're seeing this with different levels of alternative assets. The first time I've heard about this with watches. So are we moving into an era where an AP, I'm going to use the right terminology, or a Patek Philippe or a Rolex is just another form of liquid capital?
I think that's exactly what it is. I think people are becoming a bit more astute to the fact that they can purchase a watch that they can enjoy, they can admire, for it also to have an inherent secondary residual value that they can capitalize on. So I think it's becoming a lot more commercially aware for, buyers and collectors to know that what they've got on their wrist is ultimately a liquid asset.
Well, it is. I mean, you see some amazing watches. Dubai, in particular, has a great deal of availability. People walking around with a house on their wrist, probably a mansion on their wrist, a Marbella pad on their wrist. So what your buyback service allows owners to unlock cash from their watches. They have an option to buy them back. Why is now the time to introduce this here?
I think raising capital in Dubai, with Dubai being such a hub of business, I think is quite difficult. It's it can be quite rigid. A lot of the methods of raising finance, the traditional methods of finance, often are quite long. They're quite tiresome. We're talking banks, PGs, debentures, drawdown fees. For a solution where someone who can literally come in and within 90 minutes have, additional funds instantly, it's that speed, that solution, that route to market that I think is paramount.
You can see it now as well, can't you? I mean, I'm looking at the watch that you're wearing today, which is
This is Audemars Piguet.
Audemars Piguet. This is a Royal Oak
Jumbo. Yeah.
Jumbo, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's an expensive watch. I won't be crass and ask you how much it is, although I am fascinated. But the thing is, these are very widely traded items.
Yeah.
The values of watches like that and many others are widely available. So I suppose if you're looking to leverage that value, you know exactly what you're going to get. You could very easily go online and you know what it's worth. Is that kind of the thinking?
100%. Watches are now and have become a universal currency that everyone understands. The residual values and the awareness and knowledge of markets of watches is global. So, and they're very, very easy to ascertain a price, a current market valuation, and buyers today have become a lot more astute. Instead of just buying for the love of the watch or the craftsmanship, they're also buying knowing that it's an asset that potentially can appreciate, but it's also an asset that they can leverage as well.
Well, certain models just appreciate, don't they?
Not all watches, not all brands appreciate. That's the common misconception. Okay. However, every watch, every brand does have a secondary residual value.
Right.
So you're never going to get stuck. It's someone once said to me, if you've got a Rolex, you'll never go skint, because you can always cash out wherever you are, anywhere in the world. Because, like I said, it's a currency that everyone understands.
I think everybody knows what skint means, but for anybody that doesn't, skint is no cash.
No
but
cash.
Anyway, I think people know that. So tell me about the buyback model. How does it work, and how much traction are you starting to see? Because you're here, what, 6
We're
months?
here 6 months, and we're already custodians in excess of over 10 million AED. So we are super busy. So
$2.5 million worth of. Okay.
So it's. How it works is I wanted to put together a solution that offers speed, transparency, and ultimately unparalleled levels of service. So a client will make an appointment in the office. It's strictly appointment only for the discretion of our clients. They come in, the watch is valued by we have a valuation team, and we've also developed state-of-the-art AI technology which will basically identify the watch from a picture. It will scan the entire internet and find the average retail price.
Okay.
And then it will make an instant, reduction as to where we want to be when we're buying the watch.
Right.
So it's all calculated on real-time sort of metrics. So we will agree the terms with the client. They have an option of what's called a 30-day buyback, which means we will buy the watch from the client and offer them a contractual guarantee where we will sell the watch back to them in 30 days.
Okay.
So super simple. They come in, they make the appointment, the watch will be authenticated. The watch will then be placed into our donut, which is like a watch roll, a watch box, and it will then
I love that it's called a donut.
Yeah, we call it a donut.
Okay.
So then it will be placed into a tamper-proof security bag that both the client and I execute. The bag will then be sealed, and then it will be sent off to a 24/7 vault where it will stay under a temperature-controlled environment, CCTV, security, all the rest of it. And it will remain there whilst it's in our custody. And it will only come back when the client phones us to say, gents, I'm ready to come back and reacquire my watch. And at that point, the watch will be delivered to the office and we will physically open the bag in front of the client, giving them the reassurance and the trust to know that their watch, their prized possession, has been in safekeeping. It hasn't been touched. It hasn't been worn at some beach club or anything like that. They've got complete confidence and, reassurance to know that, the service is elite and, 100% bona fide.
Okay. So you're not wearing my friend Steve's watch today, then?
Absolutely not. No.
I have no friends called Steve, but it was worth a try. So, so after 30 days, what happens? I've deposited my prized possession, one of my prized collection watches with you, and I think, no, I need it back. What happens then?
So you've got three options at the end. So we offer two terms: a 30-day term or a 60-day term, and it's dependent on the value of the watch as to which one is more suited. If you have a watch in excess of, let's say, $100,000, it would fall within the 30-day buyback.
Okay.
So if our minimum requirement for the buyback solution to work is a 25,000 dirham watch, so £5,000 sterling, they would be applicable for the 60-day option. But talking about the 30-day option, so a week before the end of the 30 days, you'll receive a reminder, both on text message, email, to say that the 30 days of your buyback agreement is coming to an end, and you'll have three options. The first, to repurchase the watch at the pre-agreed amount that we obviously originally discussed. Two, you can opt to extend the agreement for another 30 days. This is very, very common at the moment because the watch is already in our vault. It's already been authenticated. It's already stored. So for the client, by simply paying the service fee, which is the 1 month fee that we charge for our storage, authentication, and insurance, they can extend the watch for an additional 30 days to give them the.
And is that a percentage of the value? How does that work?
So there's no fixed percentage. We don't work on percentages.
Okay.
We offer a service fee which is based purely on the value of the watch, and that is linked directly to our insurance, the storage, and the authentication. So it's variable and it's contingent on, it's bespoke on each watch.
Right. And how I'm fascinated by this, how this works. How many times could I opt to, okay, well, I've had my money from it, but I want to keep going here. How many times could I renew the agreement?
There's no end date.
It's
We're pricing the watch to the point where it's affordable enough. We're not offering the client retail money.
Yeah.
It's more like trade money. And the reason for that is it needs to be an affordable amount for them to want to come back and repurchase the watch.
Right.
Yeah. Right. And a lot of the watches are not purely just investment pieces. They hold an inherent sentimental value, and the client's going to want them back. So, they can extend, providing they pay the service fee, they can carry on extending. The solution is built to give the client the flexibility, for as long as they want.
So if you've been passed a watch by a grandfather, for example, this is something that people looking to get some value from it, but they don't want to lose the watch. It has a sentimental value. So that's kind of at the crux of somebody that might renew.
So collectors renew. It's not just this the sentimental value. Like, people are curating collections now where they understand, brands, models, and they're building a portfolio of watches that ultimately are appreciable assets that they don't want to sell. But if they can leverage and they can borrow smartly for a short period of time, that's what they're doing. And for us, what's important is raising the awareness that this solution exists. And since we've launched, the demand has been crazy. And for the first 3 months, we operated purely on a referral and a recommendation basis, which is.
And that was enough to get your business up and running.
Yeah, I knew that we were going to be busy from the off, because it's a hub of watch enthusiasts. It's like the only place in the world you can actually wear your £2 million timepiece and grace it.
It's the one thing that the tabloids get right. About Dubai, I think. So look, if treating a luxury watch as a financial asset requires a very different level of rigor, I think, than just selling one on the secondary market. Okay, so from time to time, the secondary market for certain sort of iconic models, like the one on your wrist today, sometimes those cool off, not for the one on your wrist today, to be fair. How do you quantify liquidity value and manage the risk of declining prices for the money that you have in custody? What, 10 million dirhams, $2.5 odd million?
So if let's say, for example, if the watch is worth $100,000, we're we're giving the client probably around 65, 70. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So we're edging on the side of caution. And the reason for that is because watch prices do fluctuate.
Yeah.
And it also links back to the fact that our intention is not to keep the client's watch. It's purely to offer them a facility where they can release immediate cash secured against it. So it has to be affordable enough for them to want to come back and repurchase the watch. If I'm offering the client retail money, there's no incentive for them to say, well, I want it back. On a commercial, standpoint, forget the sentimental. They'll be like,
sure.
You might as well just keep it. But it's priced low enough. Now that is also linked to the fact that a lot of our clients that come to us have a particular figure in their mind that they need to realise, whether or not it's for a financial endeavour, whether or not it's for their business, whether or not it's for a new opportunity, and that certain figure they need to raise. You often find that people have more than one watch. And they're like, George, I need to raise $1 million dirham. I need to raise 2 million dirham. Which of these watches within my collection will get me to that figure that you can pay me that today?
Where did you get the knowledge from? Is this just something that this is something you love?
I'm very passionate about watches. And to be honest, it's I've been a collector of watches, albeit on I'd say, here in Dubai on a very small level.
Right.
But watches and cars have always been my passion from a young age. And it's just more recently, when I bought out my business partner in a former life, I was in recruitment.
Right.
It cost me £1 million to buy him out, and I used all the cash in the bank to pay him off. And I was petrified because I didn't have any reserve cash. And I had this one watch that was my favorite, and it was a Patek Philippe 5918. It was the first chrono on a steel bracelet. And I said to my wife, I was like, this is a sleeper. It's going to appreciate massively. And I bought it for...
What did your wife say to that? Yeah, sure, George.
It's funny. My wife's gone from not knowing anything about watches to all of a sudden like, oh, this is a piece unique. And, she knows all the brands.
Surprising.
So I bought it for 23,000, and I had an offer just after I bought out my business partner for 40,000. So I thought, you know what? You're never going to go poor making a profit. And just psychologically, I needed some money in a benevolent fund. I just needed that reassurance. And I said to my wife, I was like, I'm making a massive faux pas in selling this watch now. I said, it's going to blow. And I sold it for 40,000. And within 3 months, that watch went to 110,000. And
that's sterling? So
yeah,
that
sterling
is
550,000 dirham. And I still kick myself to this day that you don't always have to sell. And up until now, till our solution, people are, the only way that they could liquidate is ultimately selling their watch and cashing out of it, which means not only do you lose the sentimental value, but you also lose the potential uplift that watch can give you. So, you're kind of killing yourself on both fronts. Whereas if you've got a solution there, a flexible solution with complete discretion, with a service where you're in and out in 90 minutes, there's no credit checks, there's no background checks, it doesn't affect your company's scoring, your D&B check, it's completely off the radar, where you're in and out in record speed, paid in either cash, wire or crypto. So any form of payment is doable, and have the flexibility to be able to use your assets smartly, because smart people borrow. They don't, they leverage. They don't sell. And this is the awareness that we are bringing to market, to the point where we have clients that are locals, Emiratis, and they're like, brother, I never knew this existed. This is so good. And I'm like, well, I'm glad you're happy. Like, literally, this is what we're here for. He's like, amazing, and, and we have, at our launch party, for example, like I said earlier, we were working purely on a referral basis for the first 3-4 months. And then we did this big launch. Yeah. And we had clients turn up at the event, at the launch party. It wasn't a cloak and dagger. It's nothing. we're not operating in any form of seediness or shadiness. Like someone said to me, "Oh, you're like a glorified pawn shop," and I'm like, "Well, the biggest."
I can see the comparison, but
yeah.
I think there's a fascination with watches and watch collecting. It's maybe a particularly male pursuit. I don't know if that's even reasonable to say, but it strikes me that, lots of guys like to collect stuff.
Yeah.
But there is a fascination with them, and, there's a beauty to them. So I can kind of understand that.
And there's fundamental differences, like, we're not dealing with distress. We're not dealing with any form of...
No, it's a tangible asset.
But we're not dealing with people in distress. It's we're not operating behind acrylic glass. We're offering a solution for high net worth individuals that need to capitalize and move very, very quickly. And also be reassured that they're dealing in a service that's ultimately Rolls Royce, and that's for me the service levels that I want to adhere to. So
okay. So in terms of where are you licensed? How does that work? Is there even a license that?
So our license is for the buying and selling of watches.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's our license.
Okay.
So we're buying the watch from the client, and we're offering them a contractual guarantee to sell it back to them at a pre-agreed price. So we are respectful of local legislation, of Sharia law, and I just think it's an idea that hasn't been brought to market before, and this is where we're gaining traction.
Okay. There's something I wanted to ask you. I mean, there are things with watches, and you see these kind of antique shows, and if you've got the box and the original receipt, you've got the provenance. If there's an engraving on there that has a specific message or it's a certain person, that adds value to the watch, I guess. So you're looking at all of those things. It's not just your AI on the internet. There are different methods of establishing provenance, I guess.
As well as the app is real-time data, but we also go to the market for live trades amongst our dealer network, which is global. So in a nutshell, the more accompanying material that you have with the watch, the greater the value it's worth in both the secondary market and its residual sort of. So box papers, warranty card, even receipt of purchase all add to the value. With that said, we take even watches that are naked, and naked refers to the watch literally coming off the wrist with no associated paperwork or boxes. The only difference is you're going to lose roughly 20 to 25% of what you would have got if it had a full set.
It has that much of an effect?
It has, because, the reassurance for us is for every watch that we buy, and with every client, we CID check them as well. And we also check the global database for lost and stolen, and also for insurance fraud to ensure that the watches are 100% clean. Okay. So in addition to that as well, we would also, we have links at the manufacturers. So we will speak to Rolex, we will speak to AP, we will speak to Richard Mille, and just double check, because we are not just the stolen and all the rest of it, but we're also so close to China, where I've seen some fakes come through that has scared the life out of me.
I was going to ask you about fakes and these super clones and
authentic AAA replica master clones, to the point where I had a dealer come to me and the watch was box fresh. I'd offered to pay him $450,000 for this one watch. He's gone, "Where do I sign?" I said, "Relax." I said, "We're not in a rush." I said, "Have a coffee." I said, we're going to get the watch authenticated. Okay. Now, we have a watchmaker who's a seasoned veteran of 30 years, as well as an authenticator as well, two very different things. And they will appraise our watches. So it's a thorough autopsy of the watch, where they look at the mechanism, they look at the mounting of the diamonds, they'll look at everything, to ensure its provenance. And I said to my boy in the office, Luke, I was like, the guy turned up, he had the box, he had the holder, he had the massive case, like the watch still had the stickers on it. And I said, well, we're wasting our money getting this authenticated. Now, for me to authenticate a Richard Mille watch cost me 5,000 dirham to authenticate one watch.
Okay.
But if I'm buying a watch for $450,000, it's worth me being double safe.
Yeah.
Now, what I also did as well, doing my due diligence, there's a secret number behind the balance wheel on Richard Mille watches. I took that number and I contacted my representative at Richard Mille, and I confirmed that that number was true to what they had on the system. So I had very little doubt that the watch was indeed genuine. Yeah. So we're getting it authenticated, and my authenticator says to me, "G, walk away from this watch." I said, "What?" He says, "Walk away." I said, "You can't just tell me walk away." I said, "It's $450,000. I
thought that was watchman speak there for a minute, but it's normal speak.
Yeah, I was like, I can't walk away from it. I want to make this client happy.
Yeah.
He's a big guy, like a very prolific profile in Dubai. And he says to me, "The watch isn't right." I said, "You need to give me a bit more than that." I said, I've got to go back to him and tell him that there's no deal. And for our insurance, we have to have every watch authenticated. So he says to me, "When we look closely, there's tiny, tiny fragments of metal in the corners of the glass, which leads me to believe it's not a Swiss movement, it's a Chinese movement. And secondly, the fluidity of the mechanisms, it's not how it should. It's catching a tiny, tiny little bit to the point where it leads me to believe it's not real." So, cut long story short, the watch was a master clone. And there's only two people in, let's say, UAE that can authenticate these level of watches, which is my guy and another gentleman in Dira. And at 11 o'clock at night, the client and I drove to Dira to get the watch double checked. And it was indeed an authentic replica, as they put it. And what they're doing in China now, they're buying one original watch and they're taking key components from that original watch and they're spreading it over 2 or 3 different watches. So that when
So the secret number there.
the secret number tallies up because it's come off a watch that was real.
Yeah.
And what they're doing from that one real watch, they're taking the tiny little bit like the balance wheel or the rotor or whatever, and they're just putting it into the other watches so that at first glance, when you look at it, you're like, right, that's real, that's real, that's real. And if you're kind of second guessing, you'll put it more down to, well, maybe this one wasn't at the top of the quality control in the factory, but look, that's definitely real, that's definitely real. And then they make a decision. But, to make a bad call like that, like to lose $450,000 on one watch, that's scary.
That is. We're over time, unfortunately, George. So this is going to be be continued. I know it
That
goes
went super fast.
Time flies when you're having fun.
No, I loved it.
It's a tremendous story. Will you come back?
I'd love to. And like I said earlier, it's the first time on radio, so I'm super chuffed.
Well, you're a storyteller, there's no doubt about it. But I've got loads more questions to ask you. But for now, George Float is the founder of the Heritage Club. So great to talk to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. This is Scale or Fail. It's Mira Business FM. It's the morning drive. We're talking climate media and whether there is a scalable business in making environmental stories more engaging, more, fresher for the likes of you and me. The Carbon Current is a Dubai-founded independent platform covering, and I quote, climate, nature, food, science, and innovation through fresh, human-focused journalism. And Rachel Redfern is the editor-in-chief, and she's here. It's good to meet you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on.
I am excited and thrilled by your hair. If you're listening to this and not watching it, have a look at the video later. But anyway, look, so give us the elevator pitch before anything. What is the Carbon Current and just how big was the gap that you saw in the market?
So, kind of as you said earlier, the Carbon Current is an independent media platform solely focused on climate change.
Yeah.
We're founded here in the UAE, and so we are very focused on MENA region stories. However, we do have a global audience. We are aiming, also for some stories within the global south and also internationally. Yeah. We've got 3 sections currently that we're focused on. We've got a features section, which is going to be long reads, deep dives, traditional journalism. We've got a Big Voices, which is hot takes, think pieces, op-eds. And we also have the climate wine, which is all about the way that climate change is changing the way that you eat and the way that you drink. And honestly, I mean, in the UAE, I mean, climate change is here. It's happening.
Yeah.
And there are some interesting kind of media publications dealing with it, but in very specific ways. You know, you have The Ethicalist doing sustainable lifestyle. You have ESG MENA, which is very corporate focused. But nobody really doing a traditional journalism or something that's very story-led, which is where we wanted to sit. So we've kind of gone back maybe to a slightly more traditional format in some ways with our journalism and the op-eds we want to publish.
Old school.
A little old school.
Yeah, no, well, I kind of think everything like this moves in cycles anyway, so maybe it's time that we go back to old school. Maybe there's a need for it as well. What was it about Dubai that was right for this?
Well, you know, there's been a couple of things that have kind of come up as we've been working, you know, on developing the platform here in Dubai. One is that as a female entrepreneur, or just as an entrepreneur, the support system here and the network and the ecosystem is incredible. The support for female entrepreneurs since we've launched has been unreal. People aren't gatekeeping. People are supportive. They want to collaborate. They want to know more. They're excited to work with us. It's incredible. And similarly, just also in terms of the opportunity, we see a lot of scaling back happening in the Western media market. You know, we've seen the loss of the local and the regional newsroom out there.
Yeah.
We're seeing so much loss, even in the legacy brands, right? They're shrinking, they're closing down climate desks, all these things. NPR just closed down its climate desk, I think 2 weeks ago.
NPR's practically closed down.
I know.
Unfortunately.
We're losing so much of it.
Yeah.
That we really felt that Dubai is primed for great media market. There's so much opportunity and growth here. We've got Semaphore has launched a bureau here. You've got Arabian Gulf Business Insights. The UAE is becoming a leader of the global south, and it's a great place to launch and to build out great, strong journalism.
So you're from California?
Yes.
Right. So did you come from California to here to do this? What was the journey from where you were to where you are?
Oh, that's such a very long story. That's a little bit winding. I've actually lived abroad for most of my adult life. I've lived in Korea, the UK, South Africa, and actually I was an English teacher for a really long time.
Okay.
I worked at the university level doing rhetoric and composition, and then I worked actually with high school students as an English teacher, and then realized that where I'd always really had an interest was in the editorial world. And I had really come into climate activism a lot later in life, much more towards like my late 20s. And then it really took over my writing and my work. And so I've been working in the climate industry as a climate journalist for about 5 years now. But it just seemed like the time was right to launch.
It's a passion project, isn't it?
It is absolutely a passion project.
Okay. So climate content is very often associated with doom and gloom. That's a lot of the time that's how it's presented, I guess. But you're trying to change that, like, to an extent. How do you do that?
Well,
I don't mean to sound negative.
No.
It's just that's the perception.
It is, and it's a fair perception because, unfortunately, as somebody who reads,
ultimately it is doom and gloom.
yeah.
Okay.
As somebody who works in climate, I can tell you it is serious, and I can tell you it is the greatest challenge facing our civilization currently.
Yeah.
And you're right, it's not the funnest thing. It might not be what you most want to read in the morning when you wake up and you're looking for a bit of good news. But it is crucial. And people here in Dubai, as well as across the region, deserve access to correct, accurate information that breaks down what's happening. And
Scientific, peer-reviewed.
Well, yeah, but also deserves to know what's happening in their communities and also what solutions are here. Because there are solutions. The UAE is heavily invested in renewables, in net zero targets. And there are incredible solutions and incredible companies that are here. But one of the things we wanted to do is that we wanted it to feel really accessible, really engaging, and really relevant. So you might notice that actually with quite a few of our stories, we've used really classic tools of storytelling. We want it to feel really immersive. You're going to have imagery, setting, place. You're going to have I statements kind of putting you in the place of the first person. I want when you come in and you read an article, because somebody sent it to you in the morning, you've decided to open it, you're just going to skim the title because we all do that sometimes with a piece. And then 10 minutes later, you look up and you realize you've read the whole piece because it was so immersive and it was so relevant.
Okay, or an hour later, you're still on your site.
Or an hour later, you're still there.
So look, probably most media outlets, I think, and I'll play devil's advocate. It's difficult to monetize, isn't it? Climate content, because there's often this kind of non-profit endeavor approach with climate activism, I suppose. How do you approach the business model? How do you scale an independent platform, climate platform, if you like?
This is a really good question, and one that's been obviously on our minds quite a bit, right? How do we stay independent editorially for something that can be controversial, or that can be something that needs independence in order to be objective, but also how do we eat and pay our staff, which we also have to do.
Sure.
But there are examples, I think, of incredible climate media who have done it. There's Imagine 5, there's Grist, there's Manga Bay News. There's really incredible climate journalism that has reached global audiences and that is able to pay their staff and is doing incredible work, whether that's video, podcasts, editorial. So for us, we, at this point, are really trying hard to be a lean, mean, strong team with a great audience. And yes, we do know and recognize that we will need to seek out a model where we have sponsored newsletters or reaching out with companies that we hope align with our audience's values that can help sponsor or collaborate on an editorial series and help bring that storytelling to life. We understand that that's going to be a part of our model at some point.
Okay.
We're also hoping to do lots of events actually in the future as well, because there is a climate industry here. There is a climate community. And we think sustainable wine nights, farm to table nights, climate industry networking can be a really great place as well to bring people in together and again, kind of have that be a part of our business model.
I think there's a changing narrative here as well, isn't there, to an extent? Tell me if I'm wrong, but I always feel as though, the big energy companies have in the past been seen as the villains. But I think that's genuinely, to an extent, started to change. That there is a more sustainable approach, first of all. There are government initiatives that mandate that. I think it's not rolled back completely, but there's certainly more awareness and certainly more responsibility, I think. Is that fair? Am I over-egging that a little bit?
I hope that that's the case. I think especially now with the
Maybe it is more hope, actually.
Maybe, but I mean, I do think now with the current situation, we're going to see a massive shift in energy markets anyway, because energy sovereignty is huge, and nothing's coming between you and a solar panel except, maybe a really overcast day. And I think there's a lot of people that are going to look for diversification in their energy solutions and are absolutely going to be looking to renewables to be a major part of that, because they aren't reliant on the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah.
Which is true, right? So I think actually energy companies will lean into that. And I do think you'll see a lot of companies recognizing that also it's a huge investment up front, right? When you cover a building in solar panels, when you redo your infrastructure or your grid, but it pays off immediately. We've seen that time and again. It pays off in terms of energy savings, energy efficiency, and public response. People want to hear that you are actively making changes. Yeah,
for sure. So you're here. What UAE or maybe regional environmental stories deserve more attention than they're getting? What's flying under the radar here, do you think?
I have two that I would pull from personally. One is, talking regionally, Oman. Oman is stunning, and their coastline is massive. Yeah. And the conservation that they're doing alongside that coastline is incredible. They have five of the 7 world's sea species of turtle, right? Mm-hmm. They have thousands and thousands of nesting and hatching happening on their coastlines. They've banned commercial trawling alongside their coastlines. They've done a huge amount to try to protect that. And I think Oman, because it's such a beautiful kind of hidden gem, deserves a lot more interest in the conservation and what's happening out there. Secondly, this is something that nobody's talking about, or that very small kind of group of environmentalists are talking about, but it's something that I think is huge and will become a major topic. not even just here, but globally, and that's light pollution. So here in the region, we still have beautiful dark skies actually out in the desert. There's a lot of places because they're not they're a little uninhabited because they're out in the dunes, or you've got the mountains of Jebel Shams. There's not a lot of people out there, and you have beautiful dark skies. Now, as light pollution increases with big cities, LED lights, all these kind of things, we are starting to understand the incredible negative impacts that happen when we have light pollution. The amount of damage done to pollinators. Moths are a huge pollinator. They are not pollinating at night if they're flying around your porch light.
Makes a lot of sense.
Those bats, those birds, so many animals, their behaviors, their reproduction, their feeding habits are all impacted by light pollution. And it's become increasingly apparent that this is something actually that we need to be safeguarding and that we need to be talking about a lot more. And the UAE, Abu Dhabi's been sort of playing with some regulations recently on their light pollution. Oman already has dark sky reserves. Jebel Shams is a dark sky reserve. It has really strong regulations about how much light can be up there. And this is really important. It's important for human health. It's important for wildlife habitats. It's important for our food systems because of pollinators. And I think this is going to be something that becomes a bigger conversation. As we see satellites, as we see Reflect Orbital, as we see all of these companies and startups start trying to populate our night skies a lot more with satellites.
It's not something I thought we'd be talking about this morning, but it's fascinating. How are businesses changing the way they communicate sustainability? What are businesses getting wrong about their sustainability communications?
Obviously, first off, greenwashing, and I'm just going to say it. Sustainability is a buzzword, and I'm kind of tired of hearing about it. Like, everybody puts sustainability in front of everything, and not everything can be sustainable. And I think consumers are pretty savvy these days, and they know, okay, you've done your World Earth Day April post, but it's pretty performative.
It's a little bit...
Yeah, we
isn't
know.
it?
Okay.
Yeah.
And we know that maybe it's not sincere, you're not really a sustainable company just because you use paper straws. I mean, there are a lot of other aspects to actually truly being a climate or eco-conscious company.
Yeah.
However, transparency and accountability, people are really, really responsive to that. So if you show me, we've done our carbon accounting and we've realized that we have failed the mark. We're not achieving where we wanted to be. And these are our 5-year strategies for how we're going to get there. I love that as a consumer. You've been honest, you're holding yourself accountable, and you're committed to making change. And you've been really wide open with me. I am far more likely to go with you as a company because of your honesty and your transparency. And I think, the UAE actually just recently, in May 31st, settled their carbon reporting requirements for all businesses, right? You've got to do it now. You've got to have CSR, you've got to have a carbon accounting, and you have to have a plan for how you're going to improve. And that's massive, right? They are mandating it. And I actually hope a lot of companies share what they find. And I hope that they take that on because I'm interested. I want to know what you're actually doing. And that to me feels far more real because nobody can be perfectly sustainable. You can't be. So everybody's going to fail a little bit.
We all have an impact, don't we? But it's, I guess if you're honest and you try to do something about it, that's the key, isn't it?
Yeah, I think a lot of consumers would be really responsive to that.
Okay, food is a major part of your coverage, and food security is obviously a government mandate here. What is it about food that's increasingly central to climate conversations?
Do you like fresh fruits and vegetables?
On occasion.
Yeah.
It's been known.
Then anybody needs to care about climate change. Yeah. And again, this goes back, we have this really dark joke in climate circles, which is that the world's food systems rely on a healthy 6 inches of topsoil. And that's really true. Insect decline, insect collapse, your pollinators.
So people just don't get the importance of soil. Soil is life.
Literally, if we want to keep eating like we eat, we have to make this. And insect decline, it's hit 40%. Last time when you were a kid and you drove down the highway, how many bugs were on your windscreen?
I've never counted them, but I take your point.
Yeah, but now actually 40% less.
It's very true.
Which is true. And here's the thing. Do you know how much that apple is going to cost when the farmer has to hire a team to come in and pollinate his orchard? Bees are doing it for free.
Yeah.
You know? So it's going to change economies. It's going to change food access. You like coffee? You like chocolate? Climate change. That's changing the way and where those products can even be produced.
What do you say to climate deniers? What's the argument against people? It's just a load of nonsense. It's not real. It's not happening. What do you say to people that say that? Because I have these arguments with my father, who is just no. That's all made up, and I'm like, it's really not, Dad.
Yeah.
But it's. How do you argue it?
I usually try to use a relevant example. So here in the UAE, I'd be like, 2 years ago, there were some floods. Maybe you remember the floods that took out people's cars. And
they were pretty epic floods, yeah.
And went all over the region. That's climate change. It's here. It's on your doorstep. And I mean, I come from the United States, where climate denial is still very much a part of the political discourse. I usually do try to bring in some good examples, some things that I've seen, as a traveler, I've noticed this and it's really impacted these people over here, and try to kind of start that conversation with compassion. And then if they still don't get it, I make a joke and I recommend they don't buy any property near the coast.
Okay.
I don't know if that's helpful.
People ever listen?
Sometimes, some people I've seen actually a change, I think when you access like the conversation in terms of stewardship, because there's a lot of people who are like, but we live here, and whether that's your faith or your religion or your community, we know we need to be good stewards of where we live, right? You like taking your walk, and you like to have access to those things, and those things won't be here if we don't take care of them.
I want to go back to greenwashing a little bit, or to people who do greenwash and what they can do to not greenwash. So if there's a founder of a company, maybe listening to this or even watching this, wants to know how to talk about being innovative from a sustainability, a green way, what's your best piece of advice? Is it just to be upfront, to be honest, to admit when you make mistakes? Is that the best way to do it?
I think I do think, there's an incredible company called Intrepid Travel. They are the world's largest B Corp, certified B Corp adventure travel company in the world. And I had a really interesting conversation with their head of climate and climate accounting. And she was so honest that they had kind of missed the mark in some of their early accounting for what they wanted. And she just broke down all the ways that they were really trying to alter that with their employees. And it has stuck with me for years, like how honest that conversation was and how very authentic. I think maybe that's what people want when they come to a company, right? Or if they're on social media, everybody's looking for that bit of authenticity, that bit of trust. And if you know that somebody's going to say to you, our current office building isn't achieving our standards, so we're working with this office building to try to make changes, and we're potentially considering a change to some place that is a bit more energy efficient. Well, okay, I think that's great. That's a really good plan that you've put in place. Again, I have to eat. I'm a climate journalist, and I have to eat. So we all know that we can't be perfect all of the time,
It's just striking a balance, isn't it? And it's something you have to do every day is honest editorial and advertising integrity, and it's a hard thing.
It is.
Yeah. I was going to say something to you there. It's completely gone. There's so many things in my mind. So look, with the current, the carbon current, how can people look, watch, read, enjoy?
We have our website, which we've launched, which has gone live a couple of weeks ago. So we are still new, but there's great articles there for us. Obviously, you can find us on social media. We also have a newsletter that we launched last week as well, called Second Nature.
Is it going to be hard copy?
Unfortunately, we're not doing hard copy at the moment. Maybe in the future,
thinking about
it could be something. But that's definitely something where I know that if we do that, I really want to have the the kind of old school editorial team that can do that, in terms of like the
You're
artistic.
you're a National Geographic reader.
I'm such a National Geographic reader.
had
I
a feeling.
really, I would want that. And I mean, and that's something that we've really leaned into, is that like all the photos that you see on our website for the most part were taken by our team. Those articles are the work of weeks of interviews with experts, and our editorial standards are that we don't use AI. We've told that internally to our team. We're really trying to champion human voices and human creativity in what we do, because I think it's important and I think it's wonderful, and I want to see that in the climate conversation. I want to see incredible stories and beautiful videos. So eventually I also do want to, right now we're purely editorial. We will have some interview clips that will be going up as well as we do our interviews. But eventually I also want to bring in some stronger video series as well that I'm kind of excited to produce.
There's a lot to come, isn't there? Rachel Redfern is editor-in-chief of The Carbon Current. It is a Dubai-founded independent platform, climate, nature, food, science, and all that stuff. Good to talk to you.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate you coming in. This is Mira Business FM. It's the morning drive. This is Mira Business FM. The US-Iran peace memorandum of understanding announced includes the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, easing concerns over a major disruption to global energy supplies. But while markets are cheering, it's probably fair to say, the breakthrough, economists are warning the recovery in shipping and trade may take some time yet. Azad Zangana is the head of GCC macroeconomic analysis at Oxford Economics, and he's back with some of their latest research. Good to see you.
Good morning.
Morning to you, Azad. Let's start with immediate market reaction. Are these kind of whoops and cheers, I'm overdoing this a little bit, I know, is that premature, or is the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz the signal that the Gulf economy is back on a stable footing, finally?
Not quite yet, but certainly a lot of the downside risks in terms of the range of outcomes that we could possibly have, many of those downside scenarios have been taken away, we hope. It looks like the right people are now speaking to each other, and progress is being made towards an eventual peace deal. And that was quite a major concern for a lot of people, that why had this war gone on for more than the initial 2 weeks that people thought? Why has it gone into, I think we're approaching 100 days if we haven't already passed it. So there was a fear that this could become a forever war, as we've seen with some of the past US military conflicts that had happened. So taking that away, showing that actually, no, both sides are trying to find a solution to end the conflict is good news for the markets. It removes that downside risk.
I mean, we've been in a state of ceasefire for 6 weeks, 7 weeks, however long it is, haven't we? So the political ink is drying. I was going to say dry. That's not quite true. The operational side of shipping is a different beast. Of course, markets are more positive. The recovery in shipping and trade is going to take a good bit longer, months rather than weeks. You've noted that. What are the specific hidden friction points? Insurance, crew availability, vessel positioning, that are going to delay the return to a sense of normalcy in the Strait?
Well, you mentioned a few of those straight away. When the Strait initially closed, we had ships trapped outside of the Strait looking to come in. So traveling from east to west to essentially collect goods, collect oil and gas and so on. And they hung around for a little while, but of course, every day that a ship isn't moving and transporting, it's losing money. And so a lot of those ships were eventually diverted and called back to go do something else. It takes somewhere between 3 and 6 weeks to travel to some of the Eastern Asian destinations where a lot of these ships originate from or where they go to. So that in itself is a long time to consider. And then you've got, of course, all the ships that were trapped inside the Strait. Now, when the shipping lanes are deemed to be safe enough to travel, those trapped inside will leave straight away. So we will see an initial jump in the number of cargo ships, tankers, and so on, exiting certainly the Strait. But I think it will take some time for them to eventually come back. And like I said, we need to be certain that this deal lasts a good length of time. Not it's even 60 days might even be too short for some countries, because like I said, it's going to take weeks for some of those tankers to be lined up, rebooked, to travel all the way back to the Middle East, to go through, pick up what they need to pick up, and then exit safely. That's quite a big risk for a shipping company right now, and they have to think about that. Layer on top the insurance costs, which of course have shot up. Now, US government has said that they're going to step in and bridge the funding gap in that market. We'll see how long that takes to get going and whether that materializes. But ultimately, it's a combination of the cost of doing business has gone up, but also the uncertainty about whether you're going to be successful in making those journeys, those transportation legs, that is going to hold things back for a while. And then finally, the other element that I don't think enough people are talking about is it will take time to restart production of oil and gas for the region. This isn't just switched back on straight away. Now, there are inventories that were built up through the conflict period, and those can be exported pretty much straight away. But that won't take long to export them. And then we need to wait for the production process to get going, especially for gas, because we don't really have much of that stored, ready to go.
Are we going to see a sustained risk premium in shipping? Risk premium on trade for the rest of the year into 2027?
I think it might even be longer than that, to be honest.
Really?
I think the evidence that risk is coming down is successful parsing, and and a lack of claims essentially for an insurance industry. This happens in any form of insurance. What you want to see is the building up of a record. Think to when you start driving and the cost of your insurance premiums when you first start driving, how long eventually it takes for it to settle down. Now, it shouldn't take quite that long, but I think it will take years for eventually the insurance industry to say, actually, no, we are ready to cut those costs back down because we've built up enough equity to show that risk is quite low now.
I'd love to say to you that I can remember when I started driving. It's a very dim and distant memory these days. In terms of this is your bread and butter, in terms of GCC, macroeconomic impact, how does this deal change the growth projections for the regional economies?
So naturally, if you're running any kind of forecast, you have to have assumptions behind that. And the last time I came on, I said to you that we were expecting a deal over the summer, which will eventually unlock the shipping lanes. Now, as we've done more research on this, we found that actually those frictions that we've just talked about are probably worse than we had initially anticipated. So previously, we thought actually shipping could recover back to normal by around September. Now we think it's more likely to be around January. So just purely on that reassessment of those frictions, we've had to downgrade our forecast. So GCC economy now, we think is going to contract by about 2.4% this year before rebounding quite strongly next year. So the deal itself doesn't really change the outlook because we were looking for that deal to come through at some point. But it does help. It removes, like I said, a lot of the downside risks. So we're no longer really thinking about what happens if there's no deal at all for the next year. Instead, what we're focusing on is well, what happens if those frictions are suddenly they're not as bad as we initially thought, and things get going a bit more quickly. There's some upside risk to our forecasts all of a sudden.
How do you account? How do you compartmentalize, if you like, sentiment? We have a deal now. It looks like, as you've said, the right people are talking. There's certainly a more positive kind of feeling around, and I'm sort of grasping into thin air. How do you account for that in your forecasting?
You can look at the behavior of financial markets and how they are doing, because that's a bit of an indicator that...
We work very much on sentiment.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's an indication of where capital is going to flow and how much risk appetite there is. And the other areas that we can think about, and obviously this is very important for Dubai, but the region in general, is tourism flows. That's going to also be driven by sentiment, with a big lag, of course. It takes time for sentiment to translate to actual people coming back. So these are important to look at, and they do drive activity. We have to have an idea or a forecast for how much investment there's going to be, how much of disposable income are households going to actually spend, or are they going to be cautious and decide to save? How many tourists are actually going to come in and do business, as in consume the services within the region? These all matter. And unfortunately, there's not much data on confidence within the region. So we do have to have a lot of conversations with people. We, watch the media to see what people are saying.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, look at financial markets and see how they're behaving as a bit of a signal in terms of where they think things are going.
Okay. A reminder, this full interview will be on online later today. It'll be on our YouTube page, so available to watch again or listen to again. Uncertainty clearly sidelined projects across the region during the recent tensions. How do you measure I'm asking you these kind of ethereal questions this morning. How do you measure the true economic cost of that? It was a stasis in business activity, wasn't it?
It is, and it's, assuming you can kind of reasonably accurately figure out how much is cut back and how much is delayed. I mean, that all adds up in the numbers that we have where we're thinking about, gross domestic product. It's made up of consumption, investment, government spending, exports and imports. So, that essentially can add up quite nicely. But like I said, that assumes you can measure things reasonably accurately, and that in itself is not easy task at all. So there is a little bit of finger in the air going on. There has to be until we get announcements. So, where certain projects have been delayed or cancelled, yeah, that's easy. That's been announced and we can see it. But otherwise, we just have to make some assumptions. And we do look back at history. We look at similar situations, not just in the region, but around the world, to see what's been the impact in the past when there has been quite a big shock. What has it done to sentiment? What has it then done to investment and so on? So we know that investment, typically, when a big shock like this comes along, falls off very quickly. Things go on pause. And it's usually one of the last things to recover in terms of parts of the economy. So it's an important part of our forecasting process.
I wanted to ask you about the durability of the ceasefire. And again, we're in a situation where we have a 60-day ceasefire. There's a provision in the document, in the MOU, to extend that until we get a durable agreement. That's what we're hoping for. But what are the biggest risks that could derail the recovery from here, do you think?
Well, looking at some of the details of the agreement, this is, I think, where there's still quite a lot of uncertainty. I mean, officially, the details haven't been announced yet or haven't been released, but we have enough information out there to be able to look at what there is. And from what we can see, I think one of the biggest issues that we have is that this is a US-Iran peace deal.
Yeah.
And it doesn't involve all of the actors in the theater that we're currently looking at. And so it could quite easily break down on the back of another third-party actor deciding, actually, no, we're just going to do what we think we want to do and violate the terms of the agreement. This all assumes that both sides can control everybody who is allied with them. And I just don't believe that that's really the case. So that risk is there. The other risk is the funding of this rebuilding fund that is being quoted at the moment. Where are the funds going to come from? Who is expected to contribute? Is it going to be a case of multilateral funding? Is the Gulf expected to contribute as well? Or is this going to include help from the likes of the IMF or the World Bank, who could kind of oversee the funding? And therefore, it will be done on a subscription basis in terms of which countries pay into those funds. It's all very unclear, but what I think is emerging in recent days is the very negative reaction in the US to the idea that they are going to have to stump up and essentially pay for much of the damage done to Iran as part of the deal. A big part of the complaint from the US president at the moment is that the Obama administration were offering large sums to Iran as part of the previous nuclear deal. And of course, what's currently being put on the table is 150 times the size of that original sum. So, this is not going down well in the US, and that in itself could be an issue if that funding is blocked.
And at a point in time when we have elections on the horizon as well. So, it is a political hot potato. I think that used to be the phrase. What indicators are going to tell us that recovery is genuinely underway? Things are really starting to turn.
It's still early days, believe it or not, and we haven't really even seen the extent of the fall yet in activity, let alone the turnaround. I think we won't really have good data on the turnaround in terms of activity for probably another 3 months or so. But there are surveys out there. So private business surveys like the PMIs are usually a good sign of confidence, although I'm always very minded that there's a survival bias in these surveys. When companies stop responding, well, they just get netted out of these surveys, don't they? But some of those have rebound reasonably well. They're still well below normal, well below pre-war levels. So there are signs things are improving, and just general day-to-day activity. I think that will always come back reasonably quickly. We've seen that already. Then it's a question of, well, day-to-day living is one thing, but are we going to see a return of risk-taking? Are we going to see a quick stabilization of, for example, the housing market or not? Are we going to see a resumption of migrant workers coming back into the region very quickly? These will take longer to answer. But we assume that there will be a reasonable recovery, but it will just take time.
I feel as though whenever we talk, I need to bring up the word of the moment, which is resilience. And it applies, I think, it's accurate to use that word in this region. It's been a word we've heard a great deal of in the last few months, more than usual. But I think it's fair to say we've learned some pretty tough lessons from COVID, but certainly in the last few months, once again, when it comes to the vulnerability of supply chains, I think that's something that we've certainly been talking about a lot, but it's something that is front and center at the moment.
Absolutely, and I think it was good foresight from authorities to plan to diversify your transportation links, the modes of trade as well over the years, because that has been very helpful through this period. And some of that did come about on the back of what happened with COVID. And so we learned some lessons.
Sure.
And the actions and plans that were put into place have really helped in this situation. And I think we're going to go through the same process again. We're seeing reports that, for example, the UAE no longer wants to rely on the Strait of Hormuz. They want to have Fujairah shipping ports, expanded to the point where it can handle absolutely everything that the UAE wants. And that will certainly help to avoid that situation going forward. But I think there's probably more that needs to be done in general in terms of thinking about the resilience of the nation, not just trade, but financial assistance, for example, for individuals, households, firms. These are all important to have. One of the issues is that we've seen governments are very good to respond to crisis by coming up with policies. But those policies were never sort of there to begin with. So that means that there's a bit of a risk premium that it's not there when it's required. You don't always need to have a major regional shock for somebody to have a crisis and require help. And having that kind of assistance bedded into your system, I think, helps more people take greater risk and eventually also create greater growth as well.
Final question for you. And I realise that a lot of the time when you hear it's kind of dusting off the crystal ball. It's slightly unfair in a way, but events or crises or conflicts like this leave lasting scars. And I'm wondering how you characterise the effects of what we've seen in the last 3.5 months or so on the GCC's non-oil economy.
Yeah, it kind of goes back to the conversation we've just had on resilience.
It does.
Building resilience is a little bit like an insurance policy. You have to use some of your capital to create an alternative plan. And there's a reason why that plan wasn't there to begin with, and it's because it's more costly, usually. So putting those in place raises your costs, reduces your productive capacity sometimes, in order to make sure you have these alternative plans available. And that's kind of part of the scarring that goes in. But when we also refer to scarring, we also talk about a change in behavior from people. And that, we see that as well. Suddenly, individuals, companies may decide to hold on to.
Mira Business FM, Dubai's home of business radio.
Welcome to Power List with Tatiana on Mira Business FM. This week we meet Mitch Bitterman, the Senior Vice President of Dubai Commerce City. Mitch, good day and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Tatiana.
You have lived in many countries and you are German. How did your journey lead you to Dubai?
Oh, that's a very good question. It started quite a while ago. I have left Germany around 20 years ago. Moved to the US first. I was working in supply chain for a German logistics or contract logistics company. And the journey then went from the US to Singapore, spent there around 9 years, 4 years in Bangkok, 2 years in Hong Kong, back to Singapore, and then since 4 years to Dubai. How did it come to such a journey, which is maybe a little bit unusual for German, was of course the desire to see something new in the world. But I think it's after trying out or moving, starting with logistics and then moving into e-commerce, from e-commerce into consulting. So all of it contributed in a way of what I'm doing today. And a lot of it had to do with setting up new countries, helping companies to set up in any country in the world, and also building ecosystems and helping people to connect to each other.
Exactly. For our listeners, what is Dubai Commerce City and why it is so important for Dubai economy?
Yeah. So Dubai Commerce City is a free trade zone. Free trade zone, for people who are not familiar with the term, it's basically a special zone, economic zone within a country where you have potential tax benefits, ease of doing business, a lot of good things which are happening. From our perspective, it's a $1 billion investment between two companies, one of them being Wassel, the property developer, which a lot of people know, the other one being DAFSA, Dubai Airport Free Zone Association. They joined forces and they built that free zone, which is focusing on digital commerce and ecosystem, so helping companies to grow, come to Dubai and grow in the world.
But we have so many free zones in Dubai. What makes Dubai Commerce City different?
Yeah, so we have in Dubai 26 free zones. We have in the UAE, we have 47 free zones altogether. So that's quite an astonishing number. And you might ask yourself, does the world really need another one? I get that. I think for us, the angle or what we are trying to solve is very different. In the first view, we are not really perceiving ourselves such as a free zone, meaning like, yeah, we have a lease and a license, but you know what? Because so many free zones are offering it, it almost becomes like a commodity. Our main focus is on ecosystem. And what do I mean by that? A company comes in, they want to set up a business, and every free zone can do that. I have my lease, I have my license. So far, so good. But they need a lot of other things beyond that. They, for instance, need, you know what, I need logistics, I need marketing, I probably need financing because I have a great idea, I'm a startup, but I need financial investors. So all of this we are combining into one and trying to help companies, not just with the lease and licensing part, but also with a lot of value-added services.
I see. Okay, you always placed a great value on partnerships, yeah? And how important is collaboration to business nowadays?
I think for me, and especially since living in the UAE, since 4 years, I think especially partnerships and ecosystems are the core of what's being built here in the region, especially in the UAE, but also in the other markets in the GCC. I always thought, because I worked in China, I worked in Thailand and whatnot, I always thought these guys are really good connected, but nothing compared to what's happening here in the market. And I think if you are coming, you have a great business idea, you're coming from abroad, you want to explore the market over here, this is vital for your business to succeed. Yeah, that means you're coming in. The first thing what you don't have is you don't know who your customers are. You don't know who your suppliers who can help you on achieving certain things, who can give you money if you require some financing or whatnot. So I think bridging all of this together is the most vital part of becoming successful when you're in the market.
Exist. Okay, and what are the key trends that you are seeing in digital commerce and business growth? right now?
So one of the main trends I'm seeing, and I don't want to risk that I sound too repetitive. What a lot of people are saying, AI is obviously a big topic. Yeah, it would be stupid not to mention it. I would say AI. Why AI? Because it has an impact on any part of your business, right? But then I think it's also one of the most misused terms in terms of AI, because AI is everything. And sometimes I feel like, sorry to say, it's a bit more like BS in a way, where they say, you know what? Oh yeah, we have this new this AI tool, and it can automate this and this and this. There's a heavy investment involved, but you also have to see what comes out of it by the end of the day. So that's definitely one trend which I'm seeing. Other trends which I'm seeing is especially customer experience, and I think here we're in the best market. If you look at e-commerce, people want instant gratification. I remember 10, 15 years ago, when you were ordering online, you were willing to wait a week for your order. Come to the UAE, you have your minute delivery, you have your bullet delivery, you can have everything literally in 1 or 2 hours, right? And if you order a mobile phone, you even have someone to set it up for you and not only delivering it. And I think this is this strong desire for instant gratification, what customers are seeing, and also being like, having that expectation and having this competition. And I think this is something, if I were to build a company over here, my main focus needs to be on the customer experience itself, right? Because just that part is so super crucial for growing in the future, for growing your business, for accelerating. That's for me one of the most important parts. The other thing is cross-border opportunities. So if you look at it, everyone thinks, hey, the UAE, or it's a great market and whatnot, but if you look at the total population, it's not a big market, right? If you look at Saudi is what? It's quadruple the time of what the UAE is in terms of headcounts, right? Or in terms of population. Now a lot of people say Middle East, North Africa, MENA region also includes Egypt. There we're hitting 100 million people. So the really interesting end consumer markets are also in other markets around here. So a trend, what we are seeing is a lot of companies coming to the UAE, incubating the business over here, proof of concept, trying to do the first orders, trying to find the first customers. And once this works, let's replicate it into the other markets. And I think this is, if you figure that part out, right, no one can stop you to grow. And to give you one example, we have to show you how global Dubai actually is, because we are in our free zone, we have a supply chain provider. They're doing for the likes of Birkenstock, of the Luxury Closet, Squad Wolf. They're delivering from here into more than 100 countries B2C. That means it can happen. You're on a Birkenstock website in Romania, you're ordering a pair of shoes, and it actually gets delivered from Dubai. And that tells you a little bit of how connected Dubai is to the global ecosystem, and also because it has some benefits. And if you look at the map, it's literally in the middle. You have the connections thanks to Emirates, Fly Dubai, Etihad, to everyone. Ports until recently, obviously, but they will also open up and it will be back to normal. And you are just so well connected, you can literally reach the whole world in less than 36 hours. And if you just take the next 5 flight hours, you can reach 3 billion consumers, 3 billion. And this is just an immense number. And that's why it's so interesting that from a strategy perspective, a lot of companies say, yeah, I get it. I should be here and should start building it and then grow globally from Dubai.
What companies can you name? Success stories of Dubai.
Success stories. I have a couple actually. We have. I don't want to mention the big ones because the big ones they're always there, and it's
like
not
Coca-Cola, Maserati.
Yes, they are my customers. Yes, but they're coming here and they're not successful because Mitch or Dubai Commerce City is there. They already had a strong product. They have a long history of doing business. Right. We help them in other ways, but for me, I think the most important part. If a company comes in here, they should look for a unique business concept. We love that. We have this one lady, I think I've shown you when you were with me last time. It's called the Luxury Promise. This is a lady, she's auctioning used Birkin bags. Birkin bags, as we know from Hermes, they're not the cheapest. I think we're talking about 100,000 dirham for used bag.
Exists.
She literally auctions these bags via her social media accounts and sells them globally. And just imagine if you have this kind of bags, you only want one location. It's not like you can afford to keep 100 bags here, 100 bags there, right? That's one unique model. And we have a couple of these who are coming and saying like, you know what? I have a certain business problem. I don't know yet how to solve it, but I like the atmosphere because they're coming to us and we're just trying to listen first. And I think this is the most important part. You can have any product offering or whatever. But any startup who comes to you is different. And they have maybe a lot of them don't have money, but there are some very specific requirements what they have. And I think the first part, what we have to do is listen and then see how we could potentially help them.
What hospitality groups you have? Cafes, restaurants in Dubai Commerce City?
Yes, so we have, obviously, we're not just a business zone, but I also want people not just to work, but also to have food with us. So that's important. And even also to spend a little bit more time in Dubai Commerce City. So we have different restaurants, we have cafes, we have 2 supermarkets. We have a super nice concept called RRR, Recovery, Rehab, Resistance, which is a gym, a holistic gym. And it's not just a gym where you go and do your workout and you go home. No, it has a special ladies section. We have ice bars, we have nutritionists, dietitians.
Is it just for Dubai Commerce City tenants?
By right, it is also for the outside. But I see that a lot of our tenants, we have, alone the employees from our tenants, we have around 4,500 people. And they get obviously special conditions to do an annual membership, right? Okay. And enjoy what we have to offer, basically. Yeah.
Are you seeing stronger demand from Europe, Asia, or other regions who come to Dubai Commerce City?
I think the demand in general is strong from wherever. The thing is, I think from a free zone perspective is also where you're focusing on, right? And there are some countries where it's easier, in terms of language, in terms of whatever, or because they're already, a lot of them go global to bring them in. But if you ask me what I liked really the countries where you can, or the regions which see a phenomenal growth, definitely there is Southeast Asia. And China is China, né? That's a different story. But Southeast Asia as such, we're talking about Vietnam, Singapore, Thailand, right? They have a lot of brands who want to go global and they don't even know where to start. I think Russia is a very interesting market, of course, because of the political situation globally. There's just, I think a lot of brands and a lot of companies, they want to keep the lights on, no matter what happens globally. And unfortunately, there are, whether it's travel bans, whether it's embargoes or whatnot, right? And if you're a global brand, you still want to be able to cater to your customer. And that's why I see a lot of companies, they're going from just in time to more just in case, right? So that means if this country is affected by it, I could potentially do it from another country.
Agree, totally agree. And which sectors are experiencing the fastest growth within Dubai Commerce City?
So I think here, especially in the UAE, mobility is a very big topic because especially around the EV section, right? So electric vehicles. We have...
I think you're talking about Black Lane.
We have, obviously, we have Black Lane. Black Lane is a chauffeur service. They do it on a Mercedes EQS, which is an amazing German car, obviously. And we have the loading capabilities in the basement for these cars. We have Move. This is a company who finances Teslas, and the drivers are using it when they're providing Careem services. We have at the moment BYD, Build Your Dreams from China, the fastest growing automotive company in the world. They have the headquarters with us.
Tell me about this company.
BYD? Yeah. So BYD is, so it's called Build Your Dreams, obviously. And so when they came to us, roughly, I think it was like last year, around there. And they were coming and saying like, you know what, we want to have a regional sales office, but they have a lot of EV cars, right? And but it's more like smart cars. Right, and that's what we like. Obviously, we like stuff which is a little bit unique. Yeah, I also have someone like a Dubizzle in our free zone, and they have quite a lot of people providing services. One limousine service. We have a lot of these mobility guys. So that's one of them. Then one part of these clients we have. The other one is technology, definitely. A lot of people coming, e-commerce, technology, AI. I have e-commerce platforms. I'm connecting to e-commerce marketplaces. I'm doing marketing services, right? So all around the e-com and the tech space. Then logistics, big topic. And not only e-commerce logistics like courier service, but also we have regional headquarters of a lot of big logistics companies. And then I also see more and more fashion. And
fashion.
Yes, we have. We are very proud because we have one.
I was about to ask you, do you have a bank in Dubai Commerce City headquarters? But you are talking about fashion. Okay, let's proceed.
Yes. We have obviously Emirates NBD and as one of our tenants, right? But I think it's And that's what a lot of people say then. They say, like, you know what, why would you need someone like we have MOFA? We have a couple of other government entities. We have banks in Dubai Commerce City. And you might ask, Mitch, but you're a digital free zone, your ecosystem.
Exactly.
But don't forget, for the ecosystem, everyone needs a bank account, right? So
That's
this
true.
is already how they can contribute. The mobility, you mentioned already Black Lane. Every one of our tenants could book them if they have VIP visits, right? Because we're just next to the airport in Terminal 3, so they can book their nice and shiny cars to host their VIPs, right?
Yeah, and they're amazing, and they cost almost as Uber costs.
Exactly.
But the level is much higher.
Beautiful.
The
Beautiful
driver
cars,
in
yeah.
a suit
Yes,
meets and
yes,
greets
yes.
you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's a very nice experience, and I think people also see the value to spend a little bit more just to have that feeling. And I think now they just recently have been acquired by Uber, which is obviously a massive move for them as well. And I just think it's nice to be part of these success stories and being behind, hopefully, and if not being actively involved in growing them, but also, you know, taking any hindering stones away from them, so they can just do their thing and grow where they want to be. And I think this is our main focus. Yeah.
From your perspective, what are the main challenges international companies still face when entering the UAE market?
I think I wouldn't even say challenges, but I think big unknowns. So a lot of companies come here, and I'm always thinking like, how come you know so little about this country? I mean, you need to do some homework, right? And I think challenges what a lot of companies have. They have big dreams. They come into the UAE. I think if you compare it globally, definitely UAE is not the cheapest, right? So a lot of companies tend to invest right from the start. And I think this is a very risky topic, right? Because it's not like in the UAE, you're just getting started and within 1 week you have your first client. Sometimes it can take 3, 4, 5, 6 months. So I think having a sound business plan and going through the numbers and making sure, you know what, maybe it's not in 1 month, but in 7 months until I have the first client, and it needs to be covered, right? And I think from that perspective, a lot of people struggle maybe from an understanding perspective. And I think the most important part, any company coming to the UAE, it's not about the biggest one are not the ones who are going to win. I think the ones who will be winning are the ones who can adjust themselves, the one who understand the business model in the market, right? And they need strong ecosystems. If you have those two factors together, these are the ones who can become the next unicorns.
Totally agree. Looking ahead, where do you see Dubai Commerce City in the next 5 years?
Yeah. So I think in the beginning we were like, we are the free zone. Yeah. The next step was like, okay, we are putting the E into commerce. We're an e-commerce free zone. Then it moved more into this digital ecosystem and whatnot. And I think right now what we really want to be known for is that we are built for growth, right? So it's not about us, what we are and who we are. I want to do it around the customer. Because the customer, everyone who comes to us, they all have one in common. They want to grow. Yeah, and it doesn't matter whether it's a Coca-Cola, Maserati, like you mentioned, or whether it's one of the smaller startups. They all want to grow equally. And I think we should be the enabler. So what I can think of in the next 5 years, I want to set up an accelerator where we basically bring in brands from overseas with great ideas, and we give them access to funding. Yeah, we bring them to VCs, we do investment rounds with them, we teach them how to raise funding, right? We help them with all likes of business, what they need to grow their business, including mentorship. And I think this is absolutely next level, because then we would be really known for the growth itself and not just for being a free zone.
That's true. And finally, what message would you give to the entrepreneurs considering expansion in the Middle East?
Yeah. So first of all, don't overinvest, like I mentioned, because overinvesting is for me one of the biggest challenges which they will face. I think we can all say Dubai rewards ambition. So people who should come here, they should actually really be present here, try to mingle here, build their own ecosystem, and not just try to build up a satellite office from any European, Asian, whatever country, and never show up and think it's just drives itself, because that's not going to happen. And the other thing is, and I hear that there is a lot of hesitance in the market, but I think the best time is now. Because Dubai, they were never about chasing the growth, they were always building the growth. And I think right now, because there is a lot of uncertainty, right, there's also a lot of opportunity in terms of what kind of business model are you choosing, right? And I think now is the right time to build it up, to come and go to Dubai, but come with a plan and also do your homework.
Yes, absolutely true. Mitch, thank you for sharing your insights and helping our listeners better understand the opportunities available at Dubai Commerce City. And it's been a pleasure having you on Power List.
Thank you so much for having me, Tatiana.
Mira Business FM, Dubai's home